let's go ahead and kick it off so you can get your insane ramblings out.
I need the world to hear this.
Y'all ready for her insane ramblings?
I need the world to hear this. We're y'all. You ain't got no one in here.
Shut the fuck up. We're starting off stream strong with ramblings of an insane person.
So.
How.
Yeah, shut your bitch ass up before I slap the shit out of you. I don't got my wife beater on. Hold on. I'm gonna start beating his wife. Where's my bear, bitch?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so you know, the L in liberal stands for lizard. That's why we can't let the liberals run the government, because we don't want the government ran by lizards, right? Because guess where the lizards came from? They came from the dinosaurs. And the dinosaurs were the most evil, devil worshipping creatures on the damn planet, right? The dinosaurs, they were alive for hundreds of years, and they were evil. That's why they're so big and giant, and that's why they're so scary and got that big ass teeth and claws and shit. That's the original demons. The original demons were dinosaurs. They got horns and shit on their head. You ever seen the Triceratops? It got 3 horns. That's thrice as evil. Don't get me started on them long neck bitches with the horns all down they scalp. They bigger than giraffes, you know? They were bigger than giraffes, and they got 15 billion horns on their body. The evilest thing we got here now, out here is deer with their one horn splitting into 10 horns. That's how you know they really evil. And the rhinoceros with the 2 horns on his face, the big old horns on his face, is super evil. But the deer's really evil, because they got branching horns. That's the branching of evilness. The root of the evil's on his head, and the evil branches out. Anyway, I was saying the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs were evil. They were original, and they were just big old lizards. And now we got little lizards. But the real lizards are the liberals. That's why they got the L in the beginning of their name. The R in Republican stands for righteous. And the L in liberal stands for lizards. But the righteous will overtake the lizards, and we will win. Why are you laughing? Say no laughing matter. I'm not laughing. Do I look like I'm laughing right now? Is this funny? Is this funny to you? That's what I get for marrying a liberal. I know you a lizard. I know you a lizard in there. You're a lizard, little lizard lips and your lizard skin. That's why your skin's so dry. That's why your hair's so dry, shit. It's fake. It's all wig. Because you're a lizard. You're a lizard in human skin. It's okay. It's okay, because I'm gonna fix you. We gonna fix you. We gonna get rid of your lizard. You can be a repentant lizard. Anyways.
Sorry, Lobster was poking his head right here. I just looked down and there's a little face going.
You know, the L in lobster stand for lizard too.
Shut the fuck up.
That's why he looks so stupid. That's why he ain't got no thoughts. Have you ever looked at a lizard? He ain't got no thoughts going on in there. That's why he looked like a lizard too. Stupid. His eyes go in 2 different directions. Just like a Sami. Now she ain't got no L in her name, but I'm sure the A stands for something.
Asshole.
Yeah, asshole. Big ol' asshole. The K in Korra stands for cunt. I don't fucking know. Anyway. Yeah, but we can't let the government be ran by the lizard liberals. The lizard liberals cannot run this government. Because all they gonna do Now that's why they got that weather machine up there. They're gonna make it hot. They're gonna make it so hot because the lizards. That's why it's so warm. Now I know they're all like, now climate change ain't real, but global warming is real, right? It's getting warm and shit. It's getting warmer. That's the lizards' fault. Because you know what lizards like? They like warmth. The dinosaurs, millions of years ago, it was real hot. It was real hot. And that's why the lizards lived so long. And that's why they were so prevalent. Because those devils loved hell. They love hell because they're devils. And it's hot. That's why all lizards cold-blooded. Because they love hell. That's where they belong. It's always hot there, so they thrive. Can you stop laughing at me?
How do you do this so seriously?
What do you mean so seriously? I mean it. What do you mean how I do this so seriously? I'm serious because I made it. Anyways, they using that weather machine with the, when I said with the 5G chips, taking all the power to the weather machine. So, it's getting hot in here, and I know it's because of you, lizard bitch.
Can you turn the fan on to 1?
Yeah. It's not gonna be too loud for your screen.
Yeah, 1 is actually a good volume on it.
Surprised you even want the fan on. Lizard liberal. Let me take a drink. My thought hurt. Anyway. Yeah, so there's a weather machine with 5G chips and the energy given. I said this to you like 1,000 times. You heard it. The energy from the 5G chips that they stuck into this, going to the weather machine. The weather machine, the weather machine's changing the weather so they can steal land from the righteous Americans. And so the government can steal land for shit for their weather machine. Ugh. My ass off. And once all that's good, they gonna take all the Americans prisoners. But Donald Trump is gonna stop it. President Trump, save this country. President Trump. Why are you laughing at our Lord and Savior? What is wrong with you, woman? Our Lord and Savior, Donald J. The J stands for Jesus. Jesus' second coming. Donald Jesus Christ Trump.
There's probably somebody out there that actually tried to correlate that.
Donald Jesus Trump. Probably. What do you mean probably? It's true. It ain't no probably. That's what the J stand for. The only reason I married you is because you have the same birthday as him. That makes you closer to God. That makes you closer to God, devil spawn. The only reason I like you is so I can pretend I'm dating President Donald J. Trump. You white and short like him too.
I'm glad there's no one in the chat.
What do you mean you're glad no one in the chat? They want to hear it? Next time we gonna dye your hair orange. Ooh.
Stop.
I can pretend. That's why I don't like looking at you in bed. So I can pretend it's Donald J. Trump. What the fuck? What the fuck? Don't laugh, it's not funny. Why are you laughing at me?
You're laughing too.
I'm not laughing. This is not a laughing matter, bitch. Anyway, What was I talking about? I'm my bad.
Yeah.
What was I talking about? The lizard liberals. Well, I think I already covered all the lizard liberals. I get stumbled over my words sometimes. You know, if you sketched in black, you wouldn't have to turn the. You forgot his crotch. You could draw his crotch in. So when you fill it with the color, it don't leak out. Yeah. Now, how you gonna color this? I need to watch this because I know you always color everything in the most roundabout way. Girl, what the fuck are you doing? Stop that right now. This is why your commissions. This is why your commissions take 10 fucking years to finish. God damn it. Oh my god, you have this shit all the way up to all layers. What the fuck is it? Why is it right there? Why is it? What the fuck is wrong with your damn Clip Studio Paint? If what the fuck is wrong with your damn shit?
Well, first of all, don't do the refer to all layers.
Yes, refer to all layers. What?
No?
Yes, because if I don't put it on.
Just refer to the editing layer only and go to the line layer.
Okay. Select. Invert. Pen. Where's the pen? Pen. Big pen.
You can't do that on the dot.
Big pen. Bigger pen. Oh my god, so easy. Oh, why the edges not feel?
Yeah,
oh, cause you have the damn thing on. Okay, hold on.
That's why I couldn't do that.
I can fix it. Your damn set is fucked up. Yeah, there we go. No more anti-aliasing. Yeah, aliasing. However fucking pronounce that shit. That liberal shit. Anti what? Oh my fucking god.
Click on this
Select
one right
inverse.
here. Okay.
There you go, bitch. Except for that little part, but you can erase it. So much easier, huh? Oh, what the fuck? Okay, landed. There you go. Wow. It's like there's shortcuts into filling in shit instead of having to sit there and color it by hand like you using Oikaki still. Like it's 2009 and you still 37. Oh, okay. She didn't like it when I touch you. I don't touch you.
Your fingers not weird.
Probably because I scratched my balls with it. What? Hi, Sami.
You tired of that voice yet?
Oh, it's really funny, actually.
But you hate it when I do it.
Yeah, because you're doing it unironically.
I ain't mean to.
Hi, Sami.
Not my fault. I'm fucking texting.
You stupid bitch. Boring. Who do you vote for? She said the correct answer. Donald J. Trump. Cora would vote for Trump. Yeah, she definitely would. Look at her.
No.
She's homophobic too. She is homophobic. She's so homophobic, she would vote for Trump.
Your homophobia in those eyes.
Sami would vote for Kamala Harris or whatever the fuck her name is. I don't know who. I don't remember who was running. There was like two people
Kamala.
running, and I didn't really know what was going on. I just knew who I was already voted for. So there was no use in looking at all the running. I don't know. What's his face dropped out. That other. Now I know Lobster. He wrote in the name. He seemed that stupid. I know he sat there.
Wrote in Kanye West.
Yeah, I was about to say he sat there and wrote in Kanye West. Yeah, Kanye West kind of going. I don't know what's up with Kanye West. You know, he was cool at first. You know, with supporting Trump, but he's saying some shit that I don't even know if it's right or not. I know them censors of snowflake liberals, lizards, be making a fuss over everything, but I think this dude kind of crazy. You know, he don't need to be saying all that. He needs to stop making zeets on Zitter.
Zitter.
That's what they call it, ain't it? It ain't Twitter no more. It got the X, but they didn't call it. It is what they call it, so it's Zitter, right? That's how you pronounce that shit. I don't know how you pronounce it, X. You say when you go with xylophone, you just say Z. So, Zitter. Olive Garden is too young to vote, but I know in my heart, she probably would just scribble all over it because she's not that smart. Miss Omni, why are you rolling everywhere?
Are you done?
No way. This is my real voice. This is my real life. Can't be done. Can't be done with this. Don't mean woman.
The sniffing really adds to it.
Adds to what? My voice? It adds to my voice. That's how I speak. I just got sinus problems. Okay?
It's you! It's you, son of a bitch!
Never mind. I was gonna say bless you. Fucking devil lizard. Gonna bless you. Now I'm not. Taking all that shit back.
Son of a bitch in the sneeze.
Son of a bitch.
Uh-huh. You're so funny. Mm-hmm. is it? Did you send it anywhere? did Did you lose it? Mm-hmm. Ew. Why? Hmm. What was it? Oh
I
no.
swear to God, I did.
Mm. Good night. I love you. Yeah, even though you're kind of fucking crazy. Love you. Well, now that she's going to bed, and we don't have the crazy ramblings of a crazy person anymore. Actually, let me feed the cat really quick. And then we'll listen to some R slash. Okay. Aim back. All right. Now, like I was saying, we're going to listen to r slash now. We're going to continue from where we left off last night.
Similar experience here. I had learned German while working in the States for a German company. My wife and I were on vacation in Florida and were on a tour boat in the Keys when I overheard a German couple complaining loudly about everything. Quality of the food, politeness, or lack of it, the hotel staff, the weather, the crowds. They moved towards the railing around the ship and pulled out their phones. I asked, "Macht hat bitte Weilig auf dem Foto sein?" Which translates to, "Would you both like to be in the photo?" No more loud complaints for the rest of the boat trip. Then this story from Secret Weapon. A former physics professor told me the story where she was the oblivious one. She and a friend were at a conference speaking their native Polish. It was in the States, and they thought that no one could understand. They were going around the room talking about the people. At one point, the gentleman next to them said, in perfect Polish, "I can see you're getting around to me. Perhaps you should skip over." Our next Reddit post is from LJ. Okay, so my ex is controlling, manipulative, and just flat out mean to me. I've been trying to get away from his grip since November 2023, and here we are now. I would block his number, but he would call restricted over and over. There was no winning. I finally blocked him for the last time and ignored every one of his blocked calls. He would reach out to my friends and show up at my job. I made police reports, but since he's not threatening me, they can't do much. So yesterday, I finally answered the restricted call. I ever so nicely asked him to please just leave me alone. He said that he would never leave me alone. I hung up. Enough was enough. I signed up for every insurance quote I could think of with his phone number, posting free ads on Craigslist with his number and anything I could think of. He called me again this morning and thanked me because his phone hasn't stopped ringing. I denied having any involvement and asked why he would think it was me, and his response was, "Well, because I keep calling and won't leave you alone." Well, at least he's self-aware. He wanted my energy, he's got it. Be careful what you ask for. Down in the comments, we have this story from Benji. I was pricing health insurance, and I thought that I was registering for my state's exchange, but wound up putting my info into a site to receive information about health plans. I tell you what, I have never experienced such aggressive phone calls as health insurance brokers. Within 5 minutes of entering my information, my phone was ringing non-stop. It took me weeks to figure out how to get off that list, but the calls still slip through every once in a while. But at the height of the madness, I was having to clear my phone about every 3 hours because of how many calls I was getting and the number of voicemails they were leaving. Complete madness. Then beneath that, favorite niece says, I got 31 calls within 25 days from a car dealership.
Jesus.
Our next Reddit post is from 3 Crows and Murder. For context, I lived in a condo where we all have assigned parking spots, and there are several visitor spots sprinkled throughout. Well, one day, I came home in the middle of a weekday, so the vast majority of parking spaces were empty. So I was very confused as to why a large, unfamiliar SUV was in my parking spots. Now, we get the occasional visitor that mistakenly or purposefully parks in whatever spot they want. With this in mind, I parked right behind him and approached the window to ask him how long he was planning to be there. He said 45 minutes. I asked him if he could move to a visitor spot. There were some directly across from mine. He said no in the rudest and shrillest voice I'd ever heard come out of a man. Then he started going off about how he's a realtor and he's showing off this house, the door to which is directly in front of my house. And the property management said to park here in this spot. I highly doubt that, and so on and so on. I decided that I didn't have any time or energy for Karens that day, and in the middle of his ranting, I just said, okay then, and walked away to go park in a visitor spot. Rude people irritate me, especially if they're defending their awful behavior. So I promptly took my revenge. My window faces the parking lot, so I set up my speaker on the windowsill and started blasting hardcore rap music for about half an hour, in the hopes that the buyer decided our quiet little community wasn't quiet enough for them. I figured the vast majority of my neighbors were at work anyways, so 30 minutes of loud music wasn't going to annoy anyone too much. I hope I wasted a bunch of his time. Maybe don't be rude to complete strangers. Our next Reddit post is from Basing Funny. I work in an urgent care, which takes patients up until closing time, which is 10 p.m. So as I'm locking the door last night, a guy and his 3 kids yank it open as I have my hand on the lock. So I sit back down to register this final group of people, and he finds a friend of his in the lobby. Of course, the first thing he does is walk over to have a conversation, not even starting the registration process. So I take a look at the clock. 10:01, and he's not moving. So I shut off my computer and shut the lights off, which gets his attention. He walks over and in the most snarky voice possible says, "Me and my 3 kids need to be seen." I respond, "Unfortunately, we only take patients until 10 p.m. and that time frame is passed." He responds saying that he was in the building before 10 p.m. Yeah, but unfortunately, not as a patient, but as a companion to the people that he was talking to in the lobby. So I offer to walk them out so I can lock the door behind them. I was out at 10:05 p.m. and happy as a clam. Feel bad for the kids. The kids didn't get any medical attention, and presumably one of them was sitting there in pain, suffering while his dad chatted with an old buddy. Hopefully, at least, the kids learn not to be like their dear old dad. That was r/petty revenge, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.
Next. There we go. We got so much. Hell yeah.
Welcome to r/Am I the Butthole, where OP likes to kiss her brother. I kissed.
What the fuck?
kissed my brother, and now my fiance wants to break up with me since he finds it weird. Am I the butthole? I'm a 25-year-old woman and my brother is 17. We've been close since childhood. It wouldn't be a lie to say that our main love language is physical touch. I see him as my baby. He's adorable and such a sweet kid. We hug, cuddle, and he also relies on me emotionally a lot. Now comes my fiance, who's 29. We've been together for 3 years, and he knows that I'm close with my brother. I moved in with my fiance last year, so I don't even get to meet my brother that often. So every time I meet and hug him, my fiance's always made some passing remarks like, "Whoa there," or "You guys sure are close." I just roll my eyes since I thought that he was joking back then. But 5 days back, it was my mom's birthday, and it's been 4 months since I saw my family in real life, aside from video calls, because we live in different cities. It was a small party with relatives, and I was happy to be there. We were planning to stay for the night and leave the next morning. At night, me and my fiance were up watching a movie when my brother knocked and came inside, asking if we could talk. My fiance gave me a side eye, but I got up and followed him. I asked him what was wrong. He said he missed me and that he's been having a hard time at school since he's struggling with his studies. He's a smart kid. He's at the top of his school, unlike me, and I knew he always had stress issues. He also mentioned how his friends are being very rude to him in one way or another, and this made him cry while talking about it, so obviously I was consoling him. We talked for around an hour before I hugged him, saying everything will be fine. And this is when my fiance walked in and asked, "Are you guys done?" He sounded upset, and he could have phrased that better, but after a few more minutes, I got up, gave my brother a kiss on the cheek, and told him we would continue to talk tomorrow. But once I got inside the room with my fiance, I think hell broke loose. He started telling me how gross I was for kissing my own brother. He said he was already upset that I've hugged, cuddled, and had my brother on my lap before on other occasions, but now the kissing was the final nail in the coffin. He said that I prioritize my brother more than I do for him, which is not true at all. I hardly see my brother ever since I moved out. He also said that I'm not seeing my brother as my family and that our relationship is not normal. He literally told me, "You guys are in love and we're having an affair." And that he hates how much we touch each other since it comes off as sexual. I'm aware that a lot of siblings don't do physical touch, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong. I don't understand what's sexual about this. Please help me understand. These made me feel so awful that I told him that my then father, separated now, was really abusive to my mom, me, and my brother as kids, which often makes me feel like I should protect him, and that's all there is to it. But my fiance didn't even let me explain before he just left the room. The next day he called his mom and said he wanted to break it off with me. I talked to her myself, and she said that I should stay away from my brother if the marriage has to happen, since it could affect my fiance mentally, as he's a single child, so he wouldn't understand how siblings feel. She said it's better for both of us.
No.
Now I'm so conflicted because I don't understand what I did wrong. I never felt like I did anything to warrant a breakup. I love my brother and I love my fiance too. I knew my fiance always made backhanded remarks about my brother before, but it never crossed my mind he took it so seriously until that day. A sister kissing a brother on the cheek isn't normal for every family, but it is normal human behavior. It's completely acceptable. My family, we don't kiss each other. I don't kiss my mom. She doesn't kiss me. I don't kiss my dad or my brother. But I know there are families out there that do that, and this level of physical affection is totally fine. Your fiance is being jealous and unhinged. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes.
Yeah.
I'm giving your fiance 2 out of 5 buttholes. My wife cheated on me and ended her life. This happened in April of 2022.
The fuck?
My wife had lots of issues with depression. We had a lot of ups and downs in our 5 years together. We'd been married about 2 years when I found out she cheated on me with an old high school friend. At first, she told me that it was only over text, but a few days later, she confessed to it being physical. I immediately packed some things and went and stayed with my family after she told me about the texting aspect of this. After 2 days of her begging me to come back, I went back to our house where she was still staying to get more things. I got there, and it immediately turned toxic, and I left. We had 2 dogs and no kids, thankfully. So part of the reason I wanted to get things was also to check on our dogs. After that visit, I told her I wanted her out of the house by the end of the next day. The next day came along, and she was found dead. She overdosed on all of her meds. I've been going to therapy for
Jesus.
about a year now, and I still feel a decent bit of guilt and sadness on how it all ended. Her family hates me for her death. We have no
That ain't your
contact,
fault, the
and
fuck?
that part still bothers me a lot. They hate me for finding a new relationship and new life about a year later. I'm happy in my new relationship. We just moved in together recently, but the trauma still negatively impacts my life almost daily, including my current relationship. I suffer from a lot of anxiety, depression, and self-image issues now from the past few years. I'm missing lots of details, but there's still not a lot of closure. Am I the butthole for trying to move on and be happy after the worst 2 years of my life? Ultimately, this is not your responsibility, and what are you supposed to do? It's normal to break up with someone after you find out they cheated on you. So I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes, OP. Am I the
Yeah.
butthole for my response after my friend kept bragging about her boyfriend's dick size? I'm a girl, and I have a female friend who recently started dating a guy that she met on some dating app. They've been together roughly 3 months, I think. Ever since she got with him, she's been humble bragging about his alleged size. She'll make these subtle remarks about them needing so much lube that she's sore today, wink wink, and all that. No one in my group, 6 of us total, all 22 to 24-year-old women, spoke up about it, and we always let it slide or laughed it off. However, it was cringe because she clearly wanted us to know. Hell, she probably wanted us to picture her man's wiener. FYI, she's never done this sort of thing before. She's typically private when it comes to intimate info like that, so it's out of character. It's so damn annoying and unnecessary and too much information. A few days ago, we all went to brunch. I ordered a drink that came in a glass that looked semi-phallic, and someone jokingly said, that'll do. The dick bragger burst into laughter and immediately managed to make a pervy reference to her boyfriend somehow. I was extremely fed up. I finally told her that I'm very curious at this point, and I need to see hard physical evidence of this body part. I said that everyone at the table is curious about this mythical sausage and wants to see with their own eyes if the urban legends are true. I told her to show me a picture of her boyfriend's thingamajig ASAP so I can verify her claims independently. I explained that I established an interim dick size accuracy committee. Obviously, she got angry and said that I'm not funny. I told her I wasn't joking and genuinely wanted to see it for myself with my own eyeballs that I trust. She said that she obviously wouldn't share any dick pics and that I messed up in the head. We ended up having a huge argument. How huge, OP? And she left early and alone. So now there's 2 camps, some saying that I crossed the line and went too far with my joke. Others saying they're relieved that someone finally spoke up. Am I the butthole? The top reply from deleted. I wish my dick was so big that it tore apart entire friend groups. Man, now I'm curious about it. There's kind of a mix of not the buttholes and also everyone sucks here because they're saying that OP sort of matched the trashy energy. And it's kind of hard to say without understanding the dynamic of the friend group. Personally, I think that the dick bragger went a little bit too hard, so to speak. But I don't really think you're the butthole personally because you're just returning the energy that she sent to you. So I'm giving your friend 1 out of 5 buttholes and you 0 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for refusing to pay for my mother-in-law's deductible after she smashed the gift I gave her? I was on Twitter a while ago, and I saw this ad for a political mug that made me chuckle. So I decided to buy it for my conservative mother-in-law as a gag gift, because I love the idea of the mug being gifted to someone who leans more conservative. Last night, it was my mother-in-law's birthday, and I was getting ready with my wife to go to the restaurant. My wife saw the mug at home before we left as I was packing it into a gift bag, and she rolled her eyes, saying I was being immature, but she laughed at the mug, saying, "Well, it's kind of funny, I'll give you that." We eventually got to dinner, and the whole family was having a good time. Then, at the end, we all gave our gifts, and when my mother-in-law opened mine, she realized what it was and had this sour look on her face, while the mug earned a couple of chuckles. My sister-in-law jokingly teased her, asking if she liked it. She just stood up and excused herself to use the bathroom. As she was about to leave, my sister-in-law said, "It's just a joke, Mom." And my mother-in-law grabbed the mug furiously off the table and slammed it on the ground, shattering the glass. A shard gave her a pretty sizable cut on her ankle. She had to go get stitches for the cuts, and my
Jesus.
wife said that we should pay for the deductible because she claims I'm the cause of the entire incident. But I said no. My wife got mad at me, telling me I was being immature. We got in a fight about it, and I said that it's ridiculous that I'm being blamed for her mom's actions. We ended up paying for it anyways. My wife is still kind of angry, and my mother-in-law is still furious and refuses to talk to me, saying that I'm a communist. Mother-in-law stabs herself in the foot. How could you do this to me? The mother-in-law definitely gets a butthole score of, I'll say 1.5 out of 5 buttholes, because exploding a mug in the middle of a restaurant is not normal behavior. However, OP, maybe you do deserve a butthole because I don't know why you provoked your mother-in-law during her birthday. And okay, if you want to give a gag gift, I get it. But I always thought personally that if you get someone a gag gift, you get them a real gift also, because the whole point of a gag gift is the joke, but then, it's still their birthday. They still get a present, right? So, instead of giving your mother-in-law a gift, you just kind of insulted her, which is not a nice thing to do during her birthday. So I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes here, OP. That was r/Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day. Welcome to r/Relationships, where OP's boyfriend threatens her with a baseball bat. Our next Reddit post is from Tiak Whale Attack. I'm a 26-year-old woman who's Korean, and I've been with my fiance, who's 29, who's also Korean, for 3 years. We've had our ups and downs, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened last night. Now I'm questioning everything, and I really need an unbiased perspective. As a bit of background, my fiance is usually calm and not the type to explode or have sudden outbursts. However, he does have a temper when pushed too far, and he grew up in a very strict household where displays of anger weren't uncommon. But despite this, he's never been violent towards me. We moved in together last year, and while we've had our share of fights, we've always worked through them. Last night, we were arguing about something that started relatively small. I'll admit that I was being persistent. I was upset because I found messages on his phone that, while not outright cheating, they were inappropriate. He had been texting a female coworker, and while he insisted it was friendly, some of the messages felt too flirty for my comfort. This included him complimenting her dress, saying it really suited her figure, and that she always had a great sense of style. There was also a message where he commented on how nice she looked on certain days and that he could be in trouble if she keeps this up. I'm sorry, but what is that supposed to mean? It wasn't outright cheating, but it felt like a boundary had been crossed. He doesn't even say those things to me, not phrased that way at least. I confronted him and he immediately became defensive. The argument escalated quickly. He accused me of being controlling and insecure, while I accused him of being dismissive and emotionally unfaithful. At some point, I got up and grabbed his phone, saying I wanted to see more of their conversations from before. Then he lost it. He snatched the phone back, and in a split second, he turned to the corner of the room where his baseball bat was leaning against the wall. He then grabbed it and raised it at me. For a moment, I think I lost the ability to breathe. He looked very clearly upset and angry. He just gripped on the bat, and I wasn't sure if he intended to hit me, hit the wall, or just scare me. But that genuinely sent chills down my spine. I stepped back and told him, "Are you serious right now?" He didn't say anything, and he just dropped the bat onto the couch and turned away, muttering a curse in Korean that basically says, "effing B-word." I grabbed my purse and walked out without another word. I drove to my best friend's place and told her everything. She was horrified and told me I should consider calling off the engagement because you never know what happens in the future.
Yeah.
But this morning, he called me repeatedly and sent me texts apologizing, saying he lost control and that he would never actually hurt me. He said that he only picked up the bat out of frustration and that he just needed something to hold on to release his anger. He swore that he wasn't going to use it on me, and he begged me to come home so that we could talk things out. I haven't responded yet because I genuinely don't know what to do. I love him, but I also can't ignore what happened last night. My friend says that I would be stupid to go back, but I wonder if this was just a one-time mistake that he had done because of his outburst. I've never seen him this serious before, and it's not like we haven't been through each of our texts or phones. It's only recently that he's been acting less open, if that makes sense. Honestly, I'm not even thinking about the text right now. I'm thinking about the fact that he raised the bat at me. It hurts the more I think about it. I don't know what to do. Then Opie posts an update which basically says she decided not to go back with her fiance, which is a relief. Ultimately, every single sentence in this post isn't super all that relevant, except for the one where you say that he raised a baseball bat at you. That's literally all we need to know. No amount of context can excuse that behavior.
Yeah.
My post is from Lizard Queen. I'm a 32-year-old woman and my partner is a 28-year-old man. We had a baby 9 months ago, and since then, I've been a stay-at-home parent. We both agreed on this. Neither of us wanted to put our baby in daycare if we could avoid it. While I was pregnant, I ran the numbers and calculated that we could comfortably live on his income alone. His wage fluctuates, so I base my calculations on his base wage. We'd have to cut back on some discretionary spending, but we'd still be able to cover our mortgage, bills, groceries, and other necessities, with a little left over for saving and personal spending. Before our baby arrived, we each had separate bank accounts as well as a joint account. Our wages went into our personal accounts, and we would transfer a set amount into the joint account for mortgage payments, bills, and shared expenses. After I became a stay-at-home parent and stopped receiving an income, my partner's salary continued to go into his personal account, and he was transferring $800 a week into our joint account. After the mortgage came out, I was left with just under $300 to cover groceries, bills, utilities, and other necessities. It wasn't enough. The formula for the week is $80 alone, as a reference. So I've been stretching our budget as far as it could go. I've deferred bills. I've avoided leaving the house to save on fuel, which meant skipping playgroups for our daughter. I buy nothing for myself except the occasional small treat during grocery shopping, like a chocolate milk. I walk around the house all day in my underwear to avoid turning on the air conditioning, trying to lower our electricity costs. We live in an extremely hot and humid area. I eat fruit and instant noodles during the day to cut down on grocery expenses. About 6 weeks ago, I asked my partner to have his salary deposited directly into our joint account. I couldn't understand why we were struggling so much. I thought maybe I had miscalculated when I was pregnant. I needed transparency to manage our budget properly. He agreed, and once his wage started going into the joint account, I told him to set up an automatic transfer of $150 per week into his personal account for his own personal spending. He never set up the transfer. Instead, I occasionally noticed money being moved from our joint account to his personal account, but I wasn't tracking it closely because I trusted him. We had also agreed that if he didn't make or take a lunch to work and he instead bought takeaway, in those circumstances, it would be paid out of his personal spending money. With this system in place, I was at least able to start accruing money to pay the bills. But something was still off. I was the one doing all the grocery shopping and managing our household expenses, so I knew there should have been extra money left over. To help ease our financial strain, I picked up a well-paying remote job. It's only a few hours of work each week, but it's adding around $150 to our finances, on top of my husband's income. Earlier this week, I had to cancel my psychiatrist appointment because we couldn't afford it. I was already feeling down about our finances, and when I told my husband I'd have to cancel it, he agreed it was for the best because money was tight. Today, I finally sat down and audited our joint account. In just 1 month, my husband transferred over $1,000 into his personal account. I called him and asked for his account details to verify some transactions. The records matched. He'd been moving the money himself. When I asked him if he had any savings in his account, he said no. That's when I told him about the audit and about the extra $1,000. I asked what he spent it on. His response, "Not sure. I've only really spent money on food while at work." I asked him, how is that possible? How could he have spent over $1,000 on takeaway food in just 30 days? And that's not even counting the several fast food transactions I noticed on our joint account, which totaled around $130. I'd let those slide because they didn't seem excessive at the time. But now, knowing he had taken an additional $1,000 and spent it on takeaway, I'm really cranky. This past couple of months, he's listened to me talk about how and where I've cut back. How our baby and I struggle through unbearable heat without AC, how I've sacrificed, stressed, and stretched every dollar. All the while, he's been recklessly spending on daily fast food. What really irks me is that, in the past, he made me feel guilty for minor purchases, like occasionally shopping at Kmart or Target for things that we need or could use. I used to spend maybe $150 a month on baby clothes, toys, or small household items. If we were low on funds one week, he would point to those transactions I made as being the cause. For example, I'd love to buy a beach towel and a beach bag for our daughter's swimming lesson so that we're not using an old shower towel between us out of a Woolies bag. This would cost about $50, but I've been holding off because of our financial struggles. When I bring up that I'd like to buy us something like that, but can't because of our finances, he usually nods along, agreeing that we can't afford it right now and it's best that I continue to cut back on spending. Meanwhile, he's been spending an exorbitant amount on fast food. The audacity he has to make me feel like I was the problem is really getting under my skin. I've asked him to send me his bank statement so I can cross-check exactly where the money has gone. For the record, no, he's not cheating and he's not gambling. He's just 6'6", eats a lot, and clearly hasn't been thinking about how his choices affect our family. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the money went towards his trading card game hobby, but I believe him when he says that it's mostly spent on food. A fast food breakfast, a fast food lunch, gas station snacks, a coffee, an energy drink, a bottle of water. Buying all this every workday adds up. I tried to help him meal prep before. I made him sandwiches, bought him fruit and snacks, but he would complain about the food or leave half of it uneaten. So I stopped making lunches for him. Instead, I prepped ingredients for sandwiches, shredded lettuce, grated cheese and carrot, so he could quickly make them himself. But he never did, and the ingredients would go to waste. Eventually, I told him that his lunches were his responsibility. That was months ago. He wakes up before me. I was under the impression that he'd been eating at breakfast and making a coffee at home, and only occasionally buying takeaway for lunch. I was severely mistaken. As you can imagine, I'm absolutely livid. I'm trying so hard to stay composed, but he's sulking and acting like a wounded puppy. An hour ago, he told me he feels really sad and useless and that he's not good at anything. I have no patience for this. The nerve he had to tell me that we couldn't afford my psychiatrist appointment. The nerve he had to make me feel guilty for the occasional small purchase. I'm struggling to even want to be around him right now, let alone feel sympathy for him. If you guys are curious on the math, 1,000 over 30 days comes out to about $33 per day. So with $33, you could have 2 full takeout meals or order a single hamburger from Uber Eats. What's also depressing is that down in the comments, there are tons of similar stories of people basically breaking up over what I consider to be financial abuse here. Ghost writes, "Take it from me who's leaving a partner over this. When I became overburdened with work because of how stressful my job became and I worked overtime, my partner maxed out all of our credits at over $20,000 because when I was at work working overtime and couldn't cook anymore, he found it more convenient to order high-end restaurant meals for lunch and dinner, as well as Starbucks in the morning every morning. This went on every day for about 2 years. I've cried and raised concerns about the trajectory of him making us destitute. He didn't change his habits and justified that he needed to eat because he was a hardworking mechanic. Yeah, throwing away your money on expensive Uber Eats orders is bad enough. The real core problem here is just the complete and total lack of empathy. How one person can live in luxury, live in the high life, while your partner, the person you're married to, the person you're supposed to love, is struggling. I say dump them. I don't know why anyone would want to live with a partner like that. Our next Reddit post is from Al Cool Dog. So before you read, I need to say that I have nothing against cuddling to sleep. I actually love it. The problem I have here is that my girlfriend won't go to sleep or will cry unless we have a cuddle time before turning off the light. And honestly, I wouldn't even mind if it lasted like 5 minutes, and that we would just drift off to sleep while cuddling. But no, she doesn't want it like that. She absolutely needs the lights to be on, otherwise she'll be upset. If I start to get sleepy, which I am because I want to sleep, she'll get upset. She absolutely wants to look me in the eyes, so cuddling to sleep is out of the question because I have to keep my eyes open too. She also needs sweet talk, which I like, but not when it's forced like that. She literally asks me to say cute things to her. And
Hi,
not
Andrew.
just,
Sorry about that. Welcome in. Thank you so much.
I love you more than anything. She wants to hear what I think about her, how much my life is wonderful with her, etc. And honestly, I have no problem with that, but only when it's spontaneous, not when it's forced. And we say cute things to each other all day long, so it's not like I never say it. But the worst thing for me is that she will not want to turn off the light and cuddle to sleep until she's satisfied of our cuddles and my talks. And that can take some times. Sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes 1 hour. I know it's normal to just chill and sweet talk with your significant other, but it's always a necessity for her to do it right when I tell her that I'm tired and that I want to sleep. If I say I'm just too tired, or we've already cuddled enough, and could we please turn off the lights, she'll just say, "No, don't say that," and will make her sad puppy face so I have no say in it. Seriously, I think she's just being too clingy and childish. Is it unreasonable to just say, "Good night, I love you," and then cuddle to sleep with the light off? I don't even know anymore if she asks too much or if I don't do enough. I feel like I have no control over when I can actually drift off to sleep. She has to decide when, or else she'll cry for several hours. Honestly, I wish I could just happily do all that so that both of us would go to sleep without a problem. But I can't. It's so forced for me. It's too much to comply when I'm tired. Could I have some insight? What do you think? Am I being unreasonable? And OP clarifies they're both 22 and they've been together for 3 years. It sounds like this woman is insecure to the point that it's pathological. She needs therapy, and you need a new girlfriend. That was r/relationships, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same.
No. No, Cora.
Welcome to r/Am I the Butthole, where OP destroys his coworker's marriage. Am I the butthole for unintentionally causing my coworker's marriage to implode? I'm a 32-year-old guy, and I need to know if I'm the villain here. 2 to 3 years ago, I worked shifts with a married coworker, Crystal, who's 33, who has a husband and a kid. Because it's always just the two of us who are available for shifts consistently, over months, she would vent to me daily about her marital issues, fights, resentment, and petty drama. I stayed neutral, even defended her husband every time. No flirting, no texting outside of work, never shared my own problems. It was strictly one-sided, and no, there was no physical contact even once. Then, during one shift, I snapped and opened up about my abusive fiance, now my ex. That morning, when I was clearly looking stressed, Crystal asked, "What do you do to relieve stress?" I responded bluntly with, "Jerk off," while walking away. Not a great answer. Later in the afternoon, she asked why I was still upset, and I vented vaguely. Her response was, "Why don't we have fun tonight? You're stressed, I'm stressed too with him." Man, she propositioned me for an affair. I shut that down immediately, but later that night, she texted a photo of herself in a see-through nightgown which her private parts clearly showed, and said, "Maybe you need one," and asked if I was alone. I replied, "Are you crazy?" and ignored it. The next day, her husband found out. Turns out, she sent the picture to me as revenge because he had been texting his ex. And his ex sent a photo, but not as revealing as she sent to me. Her excuse? He did it first. Now, her marriage is in shambles. Her husband, whom I collaborated with and respected, is humiliated and barely speaks to me. Coworkers are gossiping about her, but some think that I was too friendly with her. Here's where I might be the butthole. I let her trauma dump on me for months nonstop. Maybe I enabled emotional intimacy that crossed lines. I vented about my ex once, which unknowingly she used to justify her advances. Her marriage has never been the same again, and I feel indirectly responsible. But I also think I never flirted, encouraged her, or crossed boundaries. She chose to cheat. I rejected her immediately. Was I just being a decent listener even though I'm not? Or did I screw up by not shutting her down sooner? So, did I destroy a marriage?
No.
You're kind of beating yourself up for not handling this perfectly, and I agree that you didn't handle this perfectly. However, I think you handled it pretty well. You know, you're not a trained psychologist, so you can't expect it to have the perfect answer to every single random encounter with your coworkers. Your coworker vented and you listened. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. The real problem is that Crystal consistently sabotaged her marriage. There's a big difference between saying, I'm so stressed, versus, I hate my husband and I wish I had another dick to hop onto. So I can understand why you're beating yourself up, OP, but I think you should give yourself some more grace. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. You did the best you could. I'm giving your coworker 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling my sister that I don't trust her to watch my son? I'm a 19-year-old man with a 3-month-old son. His mother surrendered her rights and is no longer in the picture. I work 4 a.m. to 12 p.m. at a gas station and I raise my son. That's what I do these days. Only one of my friends still speaks to me and hangs out with me. I live at home with my parents and sister, who's 21, and pay a small rent each month. I can't afford to move out with the baby. My parents help me when they can. My sister does not like my son. She once told me she thinks he's an annoyance and a hindrance. If he cries, she complains. If there's baby clothes in the laundry, she complains. Basically, the baby exists and that pisses her off. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying my best to be a good dad. My sister has never offered to help with the baby beyond holding him briefly, and she hasn't done that more than about 4 or 5 times since he was born. The other day, my friend called me and offered me a really great opportunity for some side work. He works construction, and they needed an extra guy for some installation work. For 4 hours, I'd get $400. I jumped at it. Any extra money could only help. I started trying to find a babysitter. My sister was hanging out in the living room while I walked around the house on the phone. I managed to find a sitter who said she didn't want to be paid, and I went to get the baby ready. My sister asked me why I didn't ask her when she was sitting right there. I told her I didn't think that she'd want to since she had never offered to help before. She told me this was different. This was for work and not just me wanting to sleep or whatever. And he was about to go down for his nap, and he's pretty easy when he first wakes up, so she told me it wouldn't be a problem. I asked her why she didn't say something between phone calls, and she said she didn't think she needed to because we're family and family asks each other for help. I reminded her of all the times she'd complained about the baby and me and called him names, and told me she wished he'd never been born, and asked her why she thought that I would ever trust her with my son. She started crying and told me that wasn't fair, and I needed to remember that the whole house was dealing with the baby, and she was just having a hard time adjusting, but she'd never do anything to hurt him. I told her she should have spoken to me about her feelings instead of acting like a child. Then I took my son and left. When I got home, both my parents set in on me because my sister told them I'd accused her of bad intentions to the baby. Am I the butthole for being honest when my sister offered to babysit? OP, your sister is clearly only interested because she sees the opportunity for a payday. I wouldn't trust your sister with a half-eaten sandwich, let alone a little baby. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your sister 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for sending my little sister a vet bill after she tried to get my horses to breed? I'm a 33-year-old woman, and I'm a horse breeder and own 10 horses. I have a little sister who's 19 who was a surprise baby for my parents. They didn't think that they could have more kids after me, so she's quite babied even now. They begged me to take her on to help her get some work, and I agreed, but made it clear that she'd have to work hard and there would be no slacking. She's generally been fine with it and enjoys being around the horses, though I do have to light a fire under her butt at times to get her to keep working. The problem, however, arose when a local animal rescue asked me to help them. They had a stallion surrendered to them, and they didn't have the capabilities to take care of him. I had room, so I agreed to take him. I've also arranged a full genetic testing on him to ensure that he's alright, as it seems like he was gotten through backyard breeders. I've also made an appointment to get him gelded, as I don't know enough about him to risk him not being gelded. For those who don't know, gelding a male horse means castrating it. He has his own paddock and is kept in a separate stable than my own horses just to be safe. I am slowly socializing him, but I'm taking no risks. I've been letting my sister sit in on my breeding planning for 2025, and my main stars are going to be Dante and Willow. They've had 4 successful and healthy foals who are going to go into dressage. I know they work well together, and Willow has had a 2-year break, so she'll be ready to go again this year. The first warning bell I overlooked was that my sister asked about the new stallion and when I'd be breeding him. I explained that he would not be bred, as there was too many unknowns. I don't know his health, and I don't have a good enough grasp of his temperament. She protested that he was pretty though, prettier than Dante, and I explained that there was more to this than looks. I thought she understood, and I didn't think further on this. Yesterday, an emergency came up, and I had to leave my sister alone for an hour. I told her she could take an hour break. When I came back, I found, to my horror, that she had put Willow into the paddock with the new stallion. I asked her what the F she was doing, and she told me she just thought they'd work well together and she was doing me a favor. I got Willow out of there, but not before the new stallion bucked and reared quite a bit from stress. I got Willow out of there, then set about calming him down. I told my sister to go home and not—
Hi, Undine. Yeah, I don't have any set times for streams right now. The streams I was doing daytime before were because I didn't have a job at the time. I have a lot of art commissions I need to get through though, so I'm gonna do kind of like an art week essentially. So they'll be like after I get off of work, basically. Yeah, I'm still at the pizza job. Um, it's not paying enough. It's paying, but not enough. So, I gotta make sure that I stay on top of my commissions so that I can show that I have a good turnaround time and can take on more commissions to make what I need to for bills. Thankfully, today I got a full body commission and a custom commission. So that money went straight to my girlfriend to go towards the rent. But I still need to find like $150 more to make sure that I'll be okay on rent. We love it here. We love being adults and making enough money. It makes me wish that I hadn't quit Walmart because like the seasonal pay, you know, like it was great getting that pay from Amazon, but getting let go was not fun. So, yeah, no. But yeah, I gotta separate this pixel. Yeah, I've got like, I have a 10 pixel batch that I'm working on, and I've got 7 of them done. This one's for another customer. But I need to make this one in parts basically, so that I can give it to my girlfriend and she can like make it bouncy essentially. After I do this one, I'm probably gonna do a chibi that I owe. Yeah, so that I can kind of get that out of the way. I have 2 commissions that I can't do on stream. One because it's the booba book trend, and I don't want to get smoked by Twitter twits. And then the other one, my friend wants basically an IRL, kind of icon, not an actual IRL one, but like an icon that's like referencing them essentially, and I need to use their pictures as reference. So I'm not about to blast them on stream. I got to do those two off of stream. Yeah. I have a model art where it's just gonna be the model art and not the actual like rigging of it for someone. I'll probably honestly, to give my hand a break tomorrow, I'll probably start rigging that chibi for Echo. Because I also remember there is another free rigging I need to do for that one model rig raffle me and Azure did like a year ago. But I need to get Echoes done first because Echoes is like 2 years now. Ah, they've been so patient with me. And I appreciate you so much.
Not come back. I shouted at her quite a bit. I then had a vet come out and check them both fully to ensure that they hadn't hurt each other. My one relief is that Willow isn't in estrus yet. I had the bill sent to my sister at my parents'.
Oh yeah. Have you heard about the Gargura's post being like they have an important announcement? It's in 3 minutes. Bro. I don't watch her streams. I follow her casually, but people are really worried because it's just as important announcement and it's a smiling picture, and apparently that's like a common graduation sign. Yeah, I don't know, but it goes live in 3 minutes. Oh boy. Yeah, I might just hold on. I wonder. There we go. We'll stick this up right here in the corner. And I guess we'll watch it together and see what's gonna go on. I feel like it probably won't be a graduation, but who knows? It is the 2020s. We are in the roaring 20s where everything seems to constantly mess up. You know, when everybody was joking about 2020 and us getting the roaring 20s back, that this wasn't what we meant. This isn't what we wanted. Oh boy. We're waiting for her to go live now. Oh boy. Olive. Oh my god. I gotta let the cat out of her cage really quick. Hold on. Yeah, no worries. Thank you. My girlfriend made it. Oh shit. It's starting, actually. Hold on. My cat can sit in her cage for a little bit longer. Mhm. Ah, fuck it. I'll be quick. Hold on. Okay. Olive, down. Go down. Thank you. Ooh. Hello? Do I need to refresh the page? Should I refresh the page?
Hi.
Oh?
Hello, everyone. It's me, Bargura, from Hololive English Myth. Thank you for coming tonight and for being here. It really means a lot to me that you're here right now. I'll keep this short and to the point. I'm not so good with words, but I will do my best. And please forgive me. I am reading off of some notes so that I don't forget anything. First of all, I'm really sorry for worrying you or upsetting you with this announcement. This has been a very long time coming, but today I am here to announce that I will be graduating from Hololive on May 1st, 2025, JST. My reasons being disagreements with management and company direction. I debuted in September of 2020 with 4 other incredibly talented girls who I respect and admire. I had barely any streaming or singing and dancing experience before joining this company. It was incredibly exciting, but also very intense and unexpected to be suddenly surrounded by so many eyes and expectations. I remember there being many days where the stress was so overwhelming that I couldn't eat or keep food down. but the continuous support and patience of my wonderful community helped to lessen that feeling and pushed me to go on to do things that I didn't even know I was capable of.
That was
I
not
am
what I
so
meant to do.
lucky and so thankful for each and every one of you, to the opportunities given to me, and for the almost 5 years we've been able to spend together. I love singing for you and performing for you on stage or in my bedroom. You helped pull me out of my shell, and I went off from being too scared to sing alone in my shower to singing live in front of hundreds and thousands of people. When I think about how many of you I've been able to connect with, it's been an honor and a dream come true to be your shark, your Goopa. With you, I've been able to achieve what I thought for a very long time would be impossible for a girl like me. To feel a part of something and to belong. I love being an idol and VTubing and watching all of my senpai, Kawhi, and the entire VTubing community grow into this amazing, colorful, and successful world. I love the banter we've shared over the years. I love your clips and compilations, your cosplays, fan art, every single bit of it. I am so lucky to have been loved in such a way. Those of you that sat and fretted over what to write, that poured your hearts out to me in ink, please know that I have all of your letters, and I will seal them and keep them forever until the archaeologists dig them up in 300 years and try and decipher what a gargoyle was. Thank you for your compassion, your creativity, and your dedication to me. Thank you for waiting for me. Thank you for waiting for me to return when the outside world became too much. Let's have as much fun as we can together during these last 2 weeks. Please share your kindness and patience with everyone. And while my time here may be coming to an end, I will cherish the memories that we've made together forever. I have one final project to share with you, and I can't wait for you to see it. I'm feeling really optimistic for the future, and I hope you are too. Thank you, everyone, for letting me be your little shark.
She actually graduated. What the fuck? Well, that's crazy. What the fuck, dude? I definitely don't think she wanted to do this. To someone who says that they enjoy doing something and sounds like they've been crying, having to say that they're doing something like this does not sound like she personally made this decision. And people are pointing out that apparently this was because of a disagreement with management. So, what you doing, Hololive? What you guys doing over there? Why are you making people cry? What the fuck did you do to make her need to graduate from you guys? Like, come on. Be so fucking for real right now. I hope she comes back better than ever. Free from all of that bullshit. Whatever might be going on. Because nobody's job, no matter what the job is, should ever be making them cry. disagreements with management is fucking bonkers. Yeah, the whole VTubing world right now is not doing okay. Yeah, like Camilla said, she sounds so sad. Like there's no fucking way. Yeah, no, because like she was definitely one of the first few that I saw when I started VTubing, when I first got into VTubing. I may not have like watched a lot of VTubers, but she was like one of the prevalent faces that I saw. Um, and then it's only been almost 5 years. I started almost, I started not probably not too long after she did, and like look at her, like the VTuber world is crying right now. We're losing a good one. I hope she can come back as a solo and find her uh joy and voice again. Cause this ain't fair, bro. This ain't right. I don't know. How do I just like go back to listening to r slash? I feel like I need somebody to talk to. Oh shit. I was just checking on the Iron Mouse for a second there, doing the IRL thing. And I was like, wait a second. That's PewDiePie. That's bonkers. Dude, look at that. Hell yeah.
Double dip, double dip. Where's the cap for this gone?
Oh, that was not what I meant to do. Kasami? Tommy just like walked over and bit my knee and then walked away. Okay, well, I really need to refocus. So we are going to move on from this really depressing news. All the love to Gura. All the love to Gargura. But I do need to continue on these commissions so that I can get through them and continue to take more to afford my bills. So, we're gonna continue listening to r slash so I can try and focus better.
House. They called me today in a panic asking what the hell this was. When they explained, they told me that I was being unfair and that she didn't understand. That she couldn't pay this and was being cruel and my sister was crying. I told them she did understand, she just didn't care. That she could pay or they could pay, but that I wasn't. They're freaking out over how they'll afford this. Am I taking it too far? Down in the comments, people who are way more familiar with horses than I am are pointing out that this could have literally killed the mare. I'm not sure how exactly. I guess the male horse would potentially kick the female horse and kill it? I don't really know. So I am definitely on your side, OP, but I don't know if I agree with sending the bill to your sister because I don't want to live in a world where employers send bills to their employees. That feels super icky. So from an employer/employee relationship, no, I don't like this at all. But from an older sister, younger sister relationship, this does feel appropriate, so I'm really not sure what the correct thing to do here. Still, your sister way overstepped her bounds and there should be consequences. I just can't figure out who should be responsible for the bill here. Dude, imagine you go to McDonald's to start a job, and on your first week, because you don't know what you're doing because it's your first week, you accidentally break the cash register, and then your boss tries to get you to buy a new cash register. That would suck. Also, down in the comments, OP clarifies that the bill is 1,100 pounds. Anyways, OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes, and I'm giving your sister 2 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for giving my wife an ultimatum about getting a dog? I had a dog when my wife and I got married. I loved my dog. She was my buddy. When my wife got pregnant, she became increasingly paranoid that the dog would be a danger to the baby. She brought up rehoming, and I refused. My dog is an aggressive breed, but she was trained. One day, my wife called me crying at work that the dog ran away and she couldn't run after her. I believed her. I looked for that dog for weeks. I finally just accepted it because we had to go to the hospital to welcome our child, and there were other pressing concerns. It's been 5 years since, and we now have 3 children. I've wanted to get a new dog, but the kids take a lot of energy and time. My wife has always had a new excuse not to get another dog. I found out recently that my dog didn't run away. My wife and her father took her to the dog pound while I was at work because her parents agreed with her about the dog being dangerous. I'm furious. She was my dog, my baby. She wasn't dangerous. I would have never agreed to that. She probably never got adopted. I'm honestly mad enough to consider a separation, if not for the kids and practical reasons. I've told her that the only way to make it up, even a little bit, is for us to get a dog. She ultimately doesn't want a dog at all, and complained that she would have to do too much with it. I am not planning to let up on this one this time. The top post is, not the butthole. Get a dog after your divorce, dude. Yeah, I just don't see how you could possibly trust your wife after this. She lied to your face for 5 years. I just couldn't live with someone like that. Okay,
Yeah.
you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your wife 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. Maybe 4 out of 5? Am I the butthole for making my coworker a separate meal after she insulted my cooking? I work in a small office where we do a potluck-style lunch once a week. I love cooking, so I usually bring something homemade. For context, I'm Thai, and a lot of what I make has strong flavors. Think garlic, fermented fish sauce, chili, shrimp paste, that kind of thing. Most of my coworkers love it. Kate, though, has always been weird about it. She's made little comments before like, "Wow, that's pungent," or "Your food is so intense." Once, when I brought in Som Tam, which is green papaya salad, she wrinkled her nose and said, "Ugh, why does it smell like that?" Like it smells like lime and chili. Sorry it's not a turkey sandwich, Kate. The worst was when she asked me if I grew up eating bugs, and I kinda laughed it off because I was so caught off guard. But she kept going, talking about how she saw a documentary about Thai people eating crickets, and how it must be normal for me. I told her, as evenly as I could, that yes, some people eat insects, but it's not like I was raised munching on tarantulas for breakfast. She got all flustered and said she didn't really mean it like that. Anyway, last month I made khao soi for potluck, the northern Thai curry noodle soup. Everyone seemed to love it, except Kate, who took one bite, made a face, and said, "Oh, this is strong." Then she laughed like it was a joke, but she barely touched her bowl. Later, I overheard her telling someone that it was too much spice and too many smells at once. So a few weeks later, when it was my turn to cook again, I made my usual dish, plus a plain grilled chicken breast with some steamed veggies and a little cup of ranch dressing. No seasoning, no strong smells, etc. I left a note for Kate, since I know she prefers something simple. She was pissed, said I was singling her out and making her look bad. I told her I was just trying to be accommodating the way she seemed to want. Some coworkers thought that I was being hilarious. Others said that I was being passive-aggressive. Honestly, maybe I was. Am I the butthole?
Nah.
So, to be clear, yeah, this was definitely a passive-aggressive note. The question is it a warranted passive-aggressive note? Is it a fair note? And I would say yes to both counts, because Kate started it. So, if she's going to be snarky to you, that opens the door for you to justifiably be snarky back. Honestly, this feels less like she doesn't like your food and more like she doesn't like you, and she's trying to do these weird microaggressions to put you down. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving Kate 1 out of 5 buttholes. Also, who doesn't like Thai food? Pad Thai is delicious. That was r/Am I the Butthole. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I... Welcome to r/Confessions, where a dude loses a testicle. Our next Reddit post is from Burnza. This happened when I was around 7 or 8 years old. It was my first year in primary school, and I had joined the school with some of my friends from the local feeder school in the area. One particular boy was a year older than us and was repeating the first year for some reason. He was of German descent, from a very well-to-do family, and a lot bigger than the rest of us. Possibly because he was embarrassed at repeating the year, he was a bit of a bully. He often picked on me and some of my friends. I'm sure we probably escalated things at times too, because I know that he was teased for being German. So one day, standing outside class, I kicked him full whack in the balls. He buckled over, but I can't really remember much of what happened afterwards. We probably tucked tail and ran. I can't even say for sure whether he deserved to be kicked at the time or if I just thought that I was getting him back for previous behavior. Anyway, he missed school for a few days after, and I heard some kids saying that he was in the hospital. Soon after that, I was called in to speak to a teacher who, as far as I remember, dressed me down and explained that the other student had gone home and his testicle had swollen up to the size of a tennis ball and it had to be removed. I don't really remember getting into much trouble over it, but I do remember some of the other kids going on about it in banter. The details are hazy, but I felt so bad, and I felt that I was in so much trouble that I never ever told my parents about it. This was made worse, as my dad and the other kid's dad had gone to school together, and I only found this out after seeing my dad chatting to his dad at a rugby match that me and the kid were playing on one Saturday about a year later. I was freaking out the whole time that they were speaking, and then started feeling guilty that my dad might have been seen as rude by his dad for not apologizing for my actions. It didn't come across that way, as they seemed like old friends catching up, but I felt so guilty. I felt so awful about it. I mean, at the time, I didn't realize that it may have an effect on him being able to have children. But I felt like I'd done something so horrible, and always expected my family to confront me about it. When I learned about the reproductive challenge this might cause the guy, the guilt was just amplified. The years that followed in primary school were mostly fine. On the odd occasion, he would have a go at me. I remember him having a slightly shorter fuse with me than others, but I think he ended up being okay and less of a bully. Saying that, he did try to drown me in a river at our primary school leavers camp, as I'd pissed him off for some reason, but mostly the in-between years went by without incident. I left that school to go to a different high school, so I never maintained contact with him. I saw him once during my teenage years, and we chatted for about 5 minutes. I remember it being friendly. I never mentioned the incident. I hope he was able to have children. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry I never said sorry, too. Down in the comments, we have this story from Drink Haterade. My buddy's girlfriend kicked him in the nuts during an argument. He calls me and asks me to come over. I get to his house and he's on the couch, ice on the crotch, no underwear, and a white Fruit of the Loom wife beater. I'm like, what the hell, bro? What's going on? He tells me, and I laugh. He moves the ice from his nuts. I gasp. I kid you not, his nuts were like 2 grapefruits. I told him to get some boxers on. He's crying that just the touch of cloth on his balls hurts too much, but I need to take him to the hospital. Talk about awkward, me walking him into the emergency room. 2 dudes, one fully clothed, the other in just a white sleeveless shirt with his butt hanging out, walking like a baby with a fully loaded diaper with ice on his crotch. He had to get his nuts drained? What does that mean? No
Ew.
permanent damage. Here's your odd testicle fact of the day. The reason why testicles are outside the body is because sperm is more ideally produced at a temperature slightly cooler than your normal body temperature. Thus, by letting them hang free, they can be cooled down a bit for ideal sperm production. Our next Reddit post is from Whopper.
Interesting.
During my junior year of high school, a ban in California prohibited the sale of soda in public schools. I, seeing a need by many, decided to spend my small savings from my allowance, $17, on 3 Costco 24-packs. School was selling soda at the time for 75 cents prior to the ban. So I matched the price, roughly making $18 every 24-pack, which was about $13 in profit for a 24-pack. After my first week and 3 trips to Costco, I made enough to buy more inventory per trip, minimizing my trips to Costco and cutting into profits. I also added variety. I started with Coke, then added Sprite and Dr. Pepper. At first, I was holding in my locker, but realized heat was an issue. I invested in an insulated bag and had 2 to 3 frozen waters inside to keep things cool. And I also helped by chilling the drinks the night before. I was sold out on average before lunch, or at the beginning of lunch. 4 months in, I noticed sales drop, and I was leaving school with inventory. I found out I had competition of others who not only picked up on what I was doing, but started selling flavors like Cherry Coke, Fanta, Shasta, and whatnot. By this time, I'd already established myself with faculty and added Diet Cokes and Diet Dr. Peppers per their request. Yep, I paid off faculty with free drinks, which took a hit on profits weekly. But it secured me from getting in trouble with most security guards where I made transactions and classes I had, and a few trusted teachers from previous semesters. On average, I only had to spend about 6 to 9 sodas weekly. No big deal. I had the principal and a few vice principals buying as well. Needless to say, competition wasn't something I needed. I had the competition get pinched by faculty once I found out who it was. Of the 6 soda sellers, including myself, 4 got caught. The other gent, I let him continue doing what he was doing because I knew his background and he and his family needed the money. I did get pinched by a substitute in class. I was sent to the same vice principal who was my buyer. All I was told was to be careful, and I sat in his office till the next class period started. My end goal was to pay for all senior fees, which included cap, gown, diploma, senior night, prom, and senior ring. By early senior year, I'd made enough to cover all fees, including my tux rental and my portion of limo for prom night. I also bought a PlayStation 2 and saved the rest as a base starting point for a used car. By the end of my senior year, I helped 2 juniors continue what I was doing and helped them figure it out and connected them to my faculty buyers. I have 0 regrets about it all. I wonder if OP's parents knew about this, because you have to wonder, are they proud of his entrepreneurial spirit, or would they be disappointed that he basically became a soda mafia boss? Our next Reddit post is from Swimming Moment. I'm in my late 20s and early 30s. I started making good money as a financial advisor, and it kinda led me into a bad crowd where we were drinking, doing blow, and it's when I first got introduced to morphine. All while this happened, I started becoming more distant from my best friend, Ben. Anyways, Ben invites me to his 4-year-old's birthday party at his house. It was kind of an attempt to patch things up between us. The week I had was super long and stressful, and I had forgotten all about the party until I got a reminder from my phone. I was already with my other friends doing our usual thing when my buddy Chad got this new bottle of solution you take orally. I'd never tried it before and nothing happened. I looked it up, and it said it was supposed to take an hour, but nothing happened, so I assumed it was a dud. I Ubered to Ben's birthday party because I didn't want to drive just in case the drug affected me. As soon as I got to his house, it starts to creep up on me, and I'm feeling nice and relaxed. Music sounds amazing, all that stuff. I had to go take a dump because it's a common thing that happens to me when I take morphine. When I'm sitting on the toilet, that's when it hits me like I got hit by a bus. My mouth is as dry as the effing desert. My whole body is so nice and relaxed, times 10. I'm not gonna lie, it felt effing amazing. In my head, I kept saying, this is amazing, over and over and over. I remember slumping over the toilet and landing face first on the bathroom door. I don't know how long I was lying there, but Ben's wife knocks on the door and asks if I'm okay. I tell her I'm fine, but even saying it, I sound like an actual druggie. I remember I've been in there for a while now, and it looks super suspicious. My whole body feels heavy, and I just want to lay down and enjoy my high. I try to stand up, but my legs are shaking like crazy, and it feels like I'm 2,000 pounds. I managed to open the door after what felt like hours fumbling with the lock. I walk into the main room where everyone's at. I remember the look of absolute horror on everyone's face. Ben's face, his wife's, his parents, everybody. Me, being super high, I say, "What?" Ben says, "Pull your pants up! What the hell are you doing?" I look down, and my dick is out. One of the little kids, Jesus Christ. One of the little kids notices and just screams at the top of her lungs. Me, being absolutely blasted, says, "Shut up, you old B-word," to a literal 5-year-old. I don't really remember much after that. I just remember Ben taking me home, me begging him to take me to McDonald's like a child, and whining and crying when he didn't, and him lecturing me about how much I changed and how much of a degenerate I've become. I feel absolutely horrible about ruining that girl's birthday party, possibly traumatizing a bunch of kids, and having my best friend have to take care of me on a day he was supposed to remember fondly. I'm going to quit all drugs and try to make more meaningful relationships. I've apologized to Ben, but obviously he doesn't want to talk to me, which I understand. I just feel like the biggest scumbag ever. I'm hosting my daughter's birthday party in about 2 weeks. OP, you've given me a new fear. I sincerely hope that none of the parents behave the way you did. Honestly, you deserve to get your ass beat. I'm amazed that Ben drove you home instead of dragging you to the front lawn where he and all the other dads beat you senseless. Pre-gaming morphine to a child's birthday. Dude, you got a problem. It seems like OP knows that, but yo, this is really bad. Our next Reddit post is from Cheap Tennis. I married a 40-year-old man when I was 19. We started dating when I was 17. Yeah, it was gross, but that's what happened. The only reason he married me is because I was hot. The only reason I married him is because he had money. I actually do have other redeeming characteristics, but he married me because I was hot. I know this, everyone knows this. It doesn't feel great, but I can deal with it. We've been married 20 years. We have 4 kids. So we're stable and have lots in common at this point, and we do love each other, but if I could go back and slap myself, I would. What nobody tells you, or they try to, and you don't listen because you're a stupid teenager, is that marrying like this means that you will effing owe him for everything, every single day. Not just in the bedroom, but in every other matter in your life. The stuff you never imagined someone else trying to decide for you. And you don't even owe him for the money. It's a lot heavier than that. He'll never say it out loud, but you'll know the deal. Fundamentally unequal. He'll pull rank at the most random times, and it'll make you feel like you're falling through the floor. I don't hate my life or anything. I accept that I made this bed and I have to lie in it, but I wouldn't recommend it to anyone else. My oldest daughter is 2 years younger than I was when I met my husband, and I can't imagine. Our next Reddit post is from 404 Not Found IRL. This happened last year, and I still don't know if I made the right call. It was around 11 p.m., and I had just gotten home from a late shift. I live in a small apartment in a not so great part of the city, so I'm always a little on edge when walking home. That night felt off. As I was unlocking my door, I noticed a guy standing at the edge of the hallway. He wasn't doing anything, just standing there, but something about him made my stomach drop. I got inside, locked the door, and tried to shake it off. Not even 5 minutes later, someone knocked. Hard. I froze. It wasn't my neighbor. She texted before coming over, and I don't really have friends who drop by unannounced. Then a voice. "Please, can you just let me in for a second?" It was a woman. She sounded out of breath, almost panicked. I looked through the peephole, and there she was, maybe mid-20s, wide eyes, glancing down the hall like she was being followed. I know, stupid move, but I cracked the door open just a little and asked her what was going on. She whispered that there's a guy who's been following her since she left the train. She didn't know where else to go from there. That's when I realized it was the guy that I saw earlier. My heart was racing, but I stepped aside and let her in. I locked the door immediately, turned off the lights, and we just stood there in the dark, listening. A few seconds later, heavy footsteps passed my door. Slow, like someone was looking for something. Then, nothing. She stayed for about 30 minutes, just sitting on my couch, shaking. I offered her water, and we barely talked. Eventually, she called a friend to come pick her up. When she left, she just said, "Thank you," and disappeared down the hall. I never saw her again. I don't know if she was telling the truth. Maybe she was genuinely in danger, but I think about that night all the time, and I can't decide if I did the right thing, or if I got really, really lucky. In this story, OP may have definitely saved this girl from some sort of harm, but just so you know, this is the setup for a common home invasion scam. A woman knocks on your door, seems distressed, asks to come in to either, use the bathroom or use your phone or because she's scared or whatever. And then the second you open the door, her boyfriend/accomplice rushes inside and takes over the home to, rob you or who knows what. So while it is nice to do a good deed, be careful out there, everyone. OP got really lucky here. That was r/confessions, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.
Did you just fall? Are you good, Olive?
Welcome to r/Am I the Butthole, where a white husband calls his black wife his slave. Am I the butthole for telling my husband that he should have just married a white woman? For context, I'm a black woman and my husband is white. I have 4C hair and I wrap my hair in a satin scarf to go to bed. For those of you who don't know what that means, basically, my hair curl pattern is really tightly coiled, so my hair texture is kinky and easily tangled and easily breakable if not taken care of well. I used to sleep on a satin pillowcase when my hair was shorter, and I had a lower chance of tangling when I tossed and turned in my sleep. But recently, I've added oils to my nightly routine, and since my hair is a bit past my shoulders now, the chances of it tangling are higher, and I don't want my pillowcases to get soaked with oils, so I started wrapping my hair up again. The first night that I wore my hair in a wrap, my husband said that I looked like a slave, which, okay, was a little bit funny, and a little bit true in my scarf and nightgown combo, so I let him have that one. But since then, it's all these little comments when I get into bed, like, "Are we doing the slave tonight?" Or, "Should I help you into bed, Grandma?" Little things like that. I've explained why I do this, and I think he understands that, but he simply doesn't like it. And my hope was that he'd get used to it by now. Last night, I was getting ready for bed, and I couldn't find my scarf anywhere, so I asked my dear husband if he'd seen it. And he admitted that he hid it, but he wouldn't tell me where. He wouldn't stop joking around, even when I got visibly upset, and said that he wished he could run his fingers through my hair, or something along those lines. And I snapped and said if he wanted that, he should have married a white woman. He got really upset after that and told me where he hid it. We haven't talked much about it, but there's this air of awkwardness. The only times he mentioned it was this morning when he said that we should look into counseling for our race issues, and that I made him feel really racist, and I didn't think about it that way. I thought he was upset because I yelled at him, but I didn't think that it was the statement itself. Now, he's suggesting couples counseling to get through our race issues. I don't think it was that serious, and I don't want to go through all that. Am I the butthole? Okay. Calling your black wife a slave feels pretty racist to me. I'm in a mixed race marriage myself, and I have never called my wife a racial slur in the entire time I've known her, and she has never called me a racial slur in the entire time she's known me. So it's like a pretty easy thing to do to not say those things. Why would you make that joke? Also, this comment from deleted sounds really relevant. What the hell? As a black woman with a white husband, when I lost my bonnet, he went to Target late at night to grab me a few new ones. You can't marry a black woman and not want her to do black woman things. Disgusting slave comment too. What the hell is he thinking? OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes.
Yeah.
I think your husband deserves, let me think, 2.5 out of 5, I think feels fair. Am I the butthole for telling my mom that she's a whore? I'm the oldest daughter of 4 children. I'm currently 25, then 23, 20, and 18. When I was 8 years old, my mom had an affair with a family friend. I, being the oldest, has remembered most of it, and my younger siblings only remember growing up with our parents co-parenting. This has put a strain on my mother and I's relationship. She cheated on my father, who was battling cancer. She didn't even try to keep it a secret from the kids. I remember during family and friend gatherings when everyone would be inside and I'd see my mom and the family friend kissing or doing things in the pool. As a kid, I didn't understand, but as I got older, I realized what she was doing in front of us and I felt sick. People ended up catching on to their affair years later, and my mom left my dad and started a new relationship with this family friend. They split up shortly after that because he cheated on my mother. I confronted her about this
Surprise.
after my dad passed away, and we all went to see a family therapist. That was roughly 3 years ago. My mom has since remarried to an incredible man, but recently she was out and bumped into that man from her past. They exchanged emails, and she confided in me that they've been sending emails back and forth, and they're planning to meet up to chat and catch up. I read the messages, and it's very apparent that the guy still has feelings, while my mom is trying to make it seem like she's just catching up with an old coworker. But I know my mother, and I know she's still slightly infatuated with this man, and flattered that he still wants her. I mean, it's been years. Why else would you want to catch up? My new stepdad knows about her past, and while he doesn't agree with it, it's been years, and he wasn't in her life yet. She asked me what I thought about her meeting up with him, and she said something along the lines of needing closure. She asked for my honest opinion about the matter, and I told her, to be honest, Mom, you dealing with this guy in the past ruined yours and Daddy's marriage, and you guys had 4 kids. I don't know why you think it wouldn't ruin this one, but why don't you stop being a whore and stop thinking with your lady parts and delete this guy's damn email? She cried and said she just couldn't believe that I called her a whore and left my house. We haven't spoken for a few days. Today, I got a call from my siblings saying I hurt my mom's feelings and whatever happened between her and Daddy's marriage was between them. I disagree. I had to witness my mom cheating on my father. I watched him die in bed while she was off to God knows where with this man. She asked for my opinion, and my opinion is that she's a selfish whore who left my dad to die on his own. And she wants to rekindle with this man and possibly cheat on my new stepdad? Sorry, I'm not sorry for feeling some type of way about it.
Nah.
I'm not really sure which is worse here. The cheating, which is definitely bad, or bringing in your daughter as a co-conspirator in your cheating. Talking to your kids about your sex life is already icky enough, in my opinion, but also having them help you decide whether or not it's a good idea to cheat on her new stepdad is just, okay, I'm getting flustered. I gotta calm down. This woman is pissing me off. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes.
Yeah.
I'm giving your mom 4 out of 5 buttholes. 0 lies detected. Am I the butthole for turning the home that I inherited into an Airbnb? My sister thought that it would be a family home forever. About 6 months or so ago, my grandpa died. For simplicity's sake, let's say his estate is worth about $1.5 million. In his will, he said that me, my sister, and my cousin each get 1/3 share. His estate was basically 2 cash amounts, and the other share was his beach home in California. Basically, the oldest got to pick which they wanted, then the second oldest picked, and then the youngest got whatever was left, which is me. I got the beach house, and my sister and cousin each got $500,000 cash. For the last 6 months, I've allowed my sister to stay in the house whenever she likes. But I just got my first tax bill, and I either have to sell it or start making some income off it. After talking to a real estate agent, I've decided the best course of action is to turn the house into an Airbnb. That way, I can still use it if I like, but my sister can pay me to use it if she still wants to go there. Basically, there's not someone renting it full time. My sister is furious with me for so many reasons. First of all, I know she's upset because she can no longer use the house for free. But she's also telling me that I basically became a rent-seeking capitalist who is going to ruin the neighborhood, which has been seen as a total classic surf neighborhood since the 1950s. She's written me angry email after angry email after angry email, calling me all sorts of names. She also says it's not fair because her inheritance went to deaths, but I still make money from mine. And that if she had chosen the house, I could have stayed there anytime I want. She's my older sister, and I've always been impressionable to the things she says to me, and I'm feeling a lot of guilt and shame for what she told me. Am I the butthole here?
Nah.
You know, funny, if your sister really wanted the house, she could use that $500,000 she has to buy the house from you. And come on, she has $500,000 debt? Either she's terrible with money, in which case don't listen to her financial advice, or she's just lying to make you feel bad, which is more likely, I think. It's very funny how the sister expects to benefit from your inheritance, but she didn't offer to share any of her inheritance with you. Isn't that strange how that works out? OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Your sister gets 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. What a hypocrite. Am I the butthole for sleeping in my car because my wife won't stop playing whale sounds at night? Okay, so this is weird, but I need to know if I'm in the wrong here. My wife, who's 32, has recently gotten really into whale sounds. It started as something she played while working from home, and I didn't mind. Then she started listening to them while doing chores, cooking, and even during dinner. Again, fine. I figured it was a phase. But then she started playing them at night. I mean, full blast, speakers on either side of the bed, deep ocean whale calls echoing through our room like we're sleeping at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. She says it helps her relax and feel connected to nature. The problem is, I can't sleep through it. I've tried earplugs, but I swear I can still hear them. I wake up to haunting, eerie moaning sounds and feel like I'm in some kind of deep-sea horror movie. I asked if she could at least lower the volume or use headphones. She refused, saying the sound needs to fill the room for the full effect. I even tried playing my own relaxing noises to balance it out, like rain sounds or white noise, but she said they ruin the purity of the ocean experience. After weeks of this, I finally snapped and just started sleeping in my car. I parked it in our driveway, reclined the seat, and actually got my first full night of sleep in weeks. Now she's furious, saying that I'm abandoning our bed over something trivial and making her feel guilty for trying to create a peaceful home environment. I told her I'd happily come back if we could compromise on the whale sounds, but she says I'm being selfish and refusing to understand her needs. So, am I the butthole for choosing my car over the call of the wild? So, I clicked on Opie's profile.
Okay, so I listen to music when I go to bed, but and my girlfriend doesn't really like it. She's kind of gotten used to it over the years, but I always try to have the volume as low as I can, where I still hear it, but it's not going to wake her up, because I don't want to wake her up by my music. It's called being respectful to the other person you share the bed with.
Let's see if he posted any updates or anything. And this guy has 6 posts. And these are the subreddits that he's posted in. r/ratemydong, r/skinnydudes, r/penis, r/am I the butthole, and then r/nude male art. So this guy has a whale problem and loves posting pictures of his dong on the internet. Also, I have an interesting fact about whale sounds. The sperm whale can produce sounds up to 230 decibels underwater. For comparison, standing next to a jet engine is only 140 decibels. So a whale is almost double that. It's apparently so loud that if you're next to a sperm whale when it makes this sound, your eardrums will explode and you could possibly die. But realistically, nobody has to worry about that ever happening because all of those whale sounds are happening exclusively in OP's bedroom. Am I the butthole for hiding the location of my best friend from my wife? About 5 years ago, I moved about 15 hours away from my hometown for a job. Shortly after moving, I met my now wife, Becca. A few years ago, I had a buddy, JR, from back home come stay with me. While here, JR met my wife's sister, Maggie. JR and Maggie hit it off. They pretty quickly started dating. Maggie has a daughter from a previous relationship. The daughter's dad is very much in the picture. Almost a year ago, Maggie and JR moved in together. At the time, Maggie was living with her parents because she couldn't afford rent on her own. Things seemed to be going well. It's a long story, but almost 2 months ago, JR got pretty irrefutable proof that Maggie was cheating on him. He was angry, depressed, and overall distraught. He could not deal with confronting her, but he also couldn't deal with living with her. He talked to me and wanted my help to get away. So I reached out to my network of people who are not mutual friends of Becca and I got him a place to stay. Becca, Maggie, Maggie's daughter, and my mother-in-law were going out of town to visit my mother-in-law's mom a few weeks after he found out. I had a work friend with a rentable house. I helped JR pack his stuff, which was like 90% of the apartment, and he moved out. He sent an email to Maggie about why he moved out. He left a check for rent and utilities through the end of March when their lease is up, and informed the landlord that he was not renewing. Maggie got the email and called JR numerous times while on the trip. My wife called me and asked what was going on and where was JR. I told her that JR moved out and he was safe, but I will not tell her where he is. They got back and Maggie flipped about all the stuff that JR took. My wife was quite angry and demanded to know where JR was. I kept telling her that he's safe, but I'm not telling her where he is. The last month has been tense, and my wife has begged and made threats to know where JR is. She's even tried to use my phone to impersonate me to call JR and get information. I've since changed my passcode. She says, "We're married. This is affecting my family. I deserve to know." I refuse. She's even talked about this being divorceable. Am I the butthole?
No.
Yo, hold on. What's the wife's stance on the cheating? Does she just not care? She really thinks JR is the problem here, not her cheating sister? Hold on, there's an edit. My wife knows that JR left. Maggie has admitted since he left that she was cheating. My wife denies knowing about the cheating, and I do believe her. Historically, Maggie and Becca are not close. Prior to JR moving here, we would see Maggie maybe once every 3 months. Since JR moved, we see her a lot more because JR and I regularly organize get-togethers, which is why my wife's reaction is surprising to me. The stuff that JR took was only his stuff. In fact, a lot of the stuff he left is also his stuff. Other than gadgets, he left all the kitchen stuff despite it being 100% his. He left all the stuff in my niece's room, even though he paid for a lot of it. Still, the fact that the wife is taking the sister's side here is a red flag, and defending the cheater and getting all upset against the cheating victim is an even bigger red flag. So, OP, I'd be a little bit cautious around that wife of yours if I were you. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. You seem like a great friend. I'm giving Maggie 3 out of 5 buttholes, and your wife 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. That was r/Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day. Welcome to r/Today I F'd Up, where OP accidentally sends a bunch of vibrators to her grandmother. Today I F'd up by sending a vibrator to my grandmother. I bought a present for my grandmother from a website for her birthday. All went well. She got the present and was delighted with it. A few months later, I used the same website to order a vibrator, but it never arrived. I called customer support to complain, and they went over my order, including making sure that they had the correct address. It was then that I realized that I sent the vibrator to my grandmother, as her address had been saved as the default one from the previous order. I called my grandmother to ask if she had received the package. She said yes, she had, but she gave it to my dad because she thought that it was a toy for his cats that I had sent to her house by mistake. Now, I don't know if my grandmother honestly didn't know that this was a vibrator and really thought that it was a cat toy. I believe she really had no idea what it was. She grew up Catholic in a small southern town and wasn't exposed to much outside of her little world. So now, not only had I sent a vibrator to my grandmother, she had given it to my dad. I refused to call my dad. I was not ready to have that conversation. But about a week later, I got the package from my dad that contained the vibrator. We never spoke of it. You would think this is the end of the story, but it's not. Remember when I called customer service to find out why I didn't get my package? They were very nice and sent out a replacement. Where did they send the replacement to? To my grandmother. I never told them to change the address. At this point, I was just too embarrassed to ask anyone about it and tried to forget that it ever happened. Cut to Christmas. My dad came to visit. He told me he had something for me, so I went to the guest room with him. He hands me the package with the vibrator and says, "Please, for the love of God, stop sending vibrators to your grandmother."
Oh my
I'm
God.
imagining your poor dad going to visit his mom, your grandmother, and he comes in and the grandmother is rubbing the dildo over her cat, thinking it's a cat toy. And the dad's like, "Mom, what are you doing?" "Oh, look, this is a cat toy that my granddaughter sent to me. Isn't this sweet?" Today I effed up by giving my youngest son advice on happy relationships and causing my oldest son's girlfriend to dump him. First, I would like to say this actually happened on my youngest son's birthday, but today is the day that my oldest son confronted me, so here's what happened. After the cake and presents, my youngest son and I were chatting. He's a younger teenager, and now that my wife and I feel that he's old enough and mature enough, we gave him permission to begin dating. He wanted advice on his future relationships. His mom and I almost never fight, and apparently that was noticeable enough that he asked about it. The conversation began by talking about learning to respect your partner. I can't remember everything I said, but here are some highlights. Always be ready and willing to say that you're sorry, even when you think that you're right. Never dismiss your girlfriend's feelings. They're valid, even if you don't understand them. Communicate, communicate, communicate. If something's bothering you and you don't tell your significant other, you're only hurting yourself. There were a bunch of other pieces of advice I gave him, but that's the general gist. It wasn't all seriousness. We joked around a bit too. I told him this little bit of advice my dad told me a long time ago. You'll know when your girlfriend is completely comfortable around you when she's willing to fart in front of you. Don't marry her until that happens. Sage advice, that is. Now, me and my youngest were sitting at my desk having this talk while he was picking out the video games he wanted to buy with his birthday money. My daughter and my oldest son's now ex-girlfriend were on the couch playing video games and listening to us. My daughter occasionally chimed in with her own comments. She's been dating a few years now, and had her own bits of advice to give, though her comments were more about how to act on dates, places they can go, and stuff like that. My oldest son's girlfriend hardly spoke at all. In hindsight, that should have been a red flag. She's a talkative extrovert, and also a very pleasant and generous young woman. Eventually, my oldest son came over and dropped off his gift for his little brother. He and his girlfriend stuck around long enough for him to have some cake, and then they left. At this point, I don't know exactly what happened. My daughter managed to get some details from my oldest son's now ex-girlfriend. I got some more from my oldest when he came over to yell at me for breaking up his relationship. Long story short, my oldest wasn't being a good boyfriend. His girlfriend confronted him with some issues they've been having. She felt like he didn't respect her opinions and feelings, and she dumped him. It's that simple. I love all my children with every bit of my heart, even when they're mad at me, and I admit I messed up. I'm to blame for his breakup, but not
No,
because
you're
of what I
not.
said in front of his girlfriend. I messed up because I didn't drill the advice I gave my youngest into my oldest boy's head when he was younger. He wants me
yeah.
to post this on one of the Am I the Butthole subs, but I'm not gonna do that. I admit that I could be a better father, and I can be a real butthole sometimes, but I'm pretty sure that even though I could have read the room, that wasn't the real problem. Hopefully, my oldest son learns from this. I wouldn't be too hard on yourself, OP, because you seem like a decent, loving, caring person, and even if you didn't literally say the words, "this is how to behave," it seems like you demonstrated how to behave by treating your wife with respect and loving your kids. So this seems more like your son screwed up than you screwed up, OP. Today I effed up by telling my girlfriend I knew she cheated on me. So flashback to undergrad. Things are good, and I just started dating this beautiful girl that I had met in class. I was enamored with her, shocked that I loved her so fast, and amazed that she even wanted to date me. The first months were amazing. We can't keep our hands off each other, and never seemed to be sick of each other's company. After a few months into our relationship, I started to notice some concerning symptoms. As you can probably hypothesize, when I peed, it burned. At first, I just assumed that it must have been something weird with my diet. To be sure, I decided to stop taking creatine just in case. But as time went on, the burning became unbearable. I would literally be struggling to stand while I peed because the pain was so intense. After, I would literally lay in my bed in the fetal position until the pain subsided. It was bad. Well, at this point, I was no longer convinced that my diet was causing the symptoms. No, it had to be what I thought unfathomable. My girlfriend must have cheated on me. I hadn't been with anyone else. I hadn't been with anyone else since I began pursuing her, months before we became exclusive. I was shocked. Things seemed so perfect. She seems like such a good person. Where had I gone wrong? The thought made my blood boil, until I outright confronted her. I told her I knew she must have been unfaithful because of my symptoms, and I asked her if she had similar symptoms. She told me no. I demanded that she come with me to a clinic, that we both take a test and share our results. She said sure, and looking back at this, I feel like a complete dick. We agreed that we would go the next day. The same night I confronted my girlfriend, my roommate's girlfriend came over to stay at our place. She was being nice and went to do some dishes for us. Around this time, my roommates and I had just moved into a new house. In the process, all our belongings got shuffled around. As she went to get some dishwashing pods, she exclaimed, "Why are you guys washing your dishes with laundry detergent?" I heard that, and it all clicked. Oh my God, I've been pissing out bleach. I instantly felt ashamed and immediately apologized to my girlfriend. She took it really well, laughed at the situation, and we forgot about it. Sure enough, a few days later, after our dishes and cups were no longer saturated with bleach residue, my symptoms disappeared. Today I effed up by sleeping with my girlfriend, getting blackmailed into marriage, and had the worst honeymoon of my life. I'm a 26-year-old guy, and I come from a Middle Eastern country where intercourse before marriage is a huge deal. If you get caught, it could literally mean death. That doesn't mean people don't do it, but because of the cultural obsession with virginity, almost all of it is up the butt, so it doesn't count. Yeah, I know, it's insane. A couple of years ago, I met this beautiful 26-year-old woman online. We hit it off right away, had a ton in common, and after a couple of weeks of talking, she asked me out. Things were great. I made it official, went on dates, and any chance we got, we fooled around. Always the loophole route, of course. But we really wanted to go all the way. The problem? In my culture, once a woman loses her virginity, she's locked in. Either we get married, or she has to go through an actual surgery to restore it. I wasn't ready for marriage, and I didn't want to trap her in that situation, so I kept saying no. But she kept pushing, begging, telling me she didn't care. She just wanted me to be the first. I still resisted until one morning when she came over to my apartment super early, woke me up in a way that I couldn't resist, and I gave in. We did it. Biggest mistake of my life. That day changed everything. Suddenly, she became controlling as hell, picking fights over the dumbest things. Me seeing friends, visiting family, literally anything that didn't involve her. I tolerated it for a while, but after a few months, I was exhausted. The final straw? I went to visit my family in another city for 2 nights. She lost her mind. When I told her I was done, she threatened to tell everyone what happened. And in my culture, that's not just petty revenge, it could ruin both our lives. For a whole year, I was stuck. Every time I tried to leave, the threats came back. Eventually, I gave up and said, "Fine, let's get married and get this over with." But even on the day our families were supposed to meet, she started losing her mind over some stupid fight, and the threat started again. That was it. I snapped. I called her family, called my family, and exposed everything. The fallout was nuclear. She was broken, but at that point, there was no way out. The shame was public, so we had to get married. I figured, well, she has nothing left to hold over me. Maybe things will be different now. Wrong. We went to Bali for our terrible honeymoon, and it was the worst vacation of my life. She picked fights every single day. The moment we got back, after one last fight, I drove her straight to her parents' house, called a lawyer, paid her some money to make things go away, and ended the nightmare for good. The only good decision I made was putting my house under my mom's name before we got married, so she couldn't try to claim it or to make the divorce harder. And that's how one morning of weakness got me blackmailed into a marriage, forced me through the worst honeymoon ever, and left me paying to escape. Moral of the story, never let your dick make decisions for you. I don't know what this culture is. I find it surprising that you have to be forced into a marriage, but then you can just turn around and divorce afterwards. At that point, it's like, what's the point? Why all the fuss about marriage if it's not even forever? Also, jeez. Someone went through OP's post history and noticed that 4 years ago he made a post titled, "How to Kill Without Getting Caught." OP must have really been going through it.
Jesus.
Today I effed up by making my coworkers think that I was eating my deceased cat. I've been living in an English-speaking country since I was 10. My accent is 95% gone, and people who meet me generally don't realize that I'm not a native speaker. But once in a while, I'll mispronounce something or use a wrong word. On to today's screw-up. My cat died yesterday. She was my baby, and I miss her very much, and I can barely function without randomly bursting into tears. I took off work yesterday so I could grieve and bury her in my backyard under the bench that we used to sit on and watch the birds in the summers. I thought she would like that. My sister stopped by to console me and brought me a homemade meal. Despite it being delicious, I could barely eat it and saved it for later. Today, I had to go to work, so I packed the rest of my dinner for lunch. When I came in, my eyes were puffy from crying, and people were asking me what happened, and I explained about my cat. During lunch, I was heating up my food, and a woman I worked with asked me what I was having, and I responded with, "The remains from yesterday." She looked disgusted, but I thought, whatever, maybe she doesn't like to eat food from a previous day. A few hours later, I got called into HR and was told my colleagues would prefer I didn't eat house pets in the shared dining space. What the heck? I was so confused, then appalled. Why would anyone think that? I was going back to all the conversations I had that day, and at no point did I say anything about eating pets. The HR lady let me go, but then a few hours later called both me and the woman who watched me heat up my lunch into the office. That's when it came out that I said I was heating up remains when I meant leftovers. And my coworker assumed that meant I cooked my cat and was eating it due to some mental breakdown I was having. F my life. I do know what both words mean and that they're not interchangeable. I just wasn't thinking clearly. Despite my explanation, people are still giving me looks. Today I effed up by forgetting I had a prosthetic leg at hospital security. So this happened yesterday when I was taking my daughter to the hospital for a kidney checkup. I've been an amputee for over a decade, so you'd think I'd have the whole security thing down by now. But apparently, my brain just decided to take a vacation. I walk up to security, toss my keys and phone into the bin on the conveyor, tell my daughter to go first, and then confidently stride through like I own the place. The security guard looks up. "Stay back and try again." Weird, but okay. I step back and walk through again. Beep! Now I'm standing there, confused as hell, while the guard eyes me suspiciously. "You got anything in your pocket?" I slap my thighs, trying to be helpful. "Nope." He frowns. "Any metal implants?" "Nope," I say, like a moron. Me and the guard just stare at each other. My daughter stares at me. The lady in line behind us stares at me. Then it finally hits me. Oh, right! I don't have a right leg. I start laughing like an idiot and lift my pant leg, showing off my prosthetic. The security guard shakes his head like he's seen it all, and my daughter just looked like, "Yep, that's my dad." Long story short, I get the usual wand scan and pat down while my kid shakes her head in disappointment. Meanwhile, the lady behind me in line is absolutely losing it. In the comments, we have this post from Ozed. "I went to a doctor's once, my first time at the office. They asked about my family's medical history. I told them, dad's side gets Alzheimer's, mom's side Parkinson's. After about 20 seconds, oh, but I'm adopted, so I'm not too sure." That was r/today I effed up, and if you like this content, check out my Patreon where I publish extra episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos. Welcome to r/today I effed up, where OP attempts to get a big titty goth girlfriend. Today I effed up by trying to bang a goth baddie, and my wife found out. I'm a 31-year-old guy, and my wife is 32, and we're in a healthy and happy relationship. That said, we've been together since high school, so we both feel that we missed out a little by being each other's only sexual experiences. We talked about this at length and decided a few years ago that we're okay having a few hall passes in our relationship, since we very much intend to stay together the rest of our lives and don't want any resentment over missed possibilities. Plus, it's pretty rare that we could even find such an opportunity, as it's a little hard to find hookups when you're in a committed marriage and don't go out much. We've even given each other advance approval in case a situation arises, as long as we're safe about it and tell each other immediately afterwards. We've both used one hall pass, each with someone that we knew well enough but would never see again, and no issue came of it. In fact, it's only made us more secure in our relationship and how much we genuinely appreciate being with each other. Recently, I had to travel to London for work. I don't normally get to travel for work, so I decided to make a trip out of it and spend a few extra days of my own time in the city after the project was done. My wife couldn't join because she didn't have any vacation time left, but was very supportive of me taking some time to explore since I've never been to London and she has. Being cheap and being a pretty outgoing guy when I'm so inclined, I decided to stay in a hostel. I was interested in meeting other travelers since I didn't know anyone in the city and love being sociable with new people. I chatted with several of the people staying there, and in particular a very attractive French girl, mid-20s, who dressed super goth. For context, I love the goth girl look. I've been sucked into the goth girlfriend propaganda online, much to the annoyance of my wife. It isn't her style. But she's been nice enough to cater to me by putting on a sexy goth outfit on occasion, since she knows it's a huge fantasy of mine. Still, I pester her constantly to be more goth because I enjoy it so much. Anyways, I ended up spending a little bit of time with goth French baddie. We both went to the hostel's happy hour event and hit it off there. I found out that she was recently single and was in London for an art show. It turns out that we're both into emo music, and we talked about our favorite bands. I had the thought that she was acting a bit flirty towards me, but didn't think too much of it, until later I found myself sharing a sink with her in the hostel bathroom. The hostel was co-ed, so each floor had a small shared bathroom with a communal sink, and a door that was meant to be kept open, but which people frequently closed for the sake of having more privacy than just a stall to shower in. So I'm brushing my teeth while chatting up the real-life version of Shadowheart, who, mind you, is wearing an extremely low-cut top, when she suddenly closes the bathroom door behind us. In my mind, my wildest fantasy is about to come true. It's even more exciting because of the adrenaline rush of being in a semi-public setting, and a girl being so into me that she would make such a bold move. I can't believe this is actually happening to me. I instantly get hard. Then she turns around and asks, "Are you interested in learning about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ?" She had me cornered for 10 minutes, trying to talk me into salvation, while I grew increasingly despondent and immensely disappointed, with the whiplash of going from what would have been one of the crowning moments of my life to pure and utter dejection. When I told my wife this story, she laughed for a solid hour. She said it's karma for annoying her about wanting a goth girlfriend. This comment from Dr. Cortex, not the kind of missionary you had in mind, eh? Also, what makes this so fitting is, if you don't know, Shadowheart is a character from Baldur's Gate 3, and she is literally a cleric of her chosen deity. So this Shadowheart girl is fittingly very religious. Today I effed up by misunderstanding my gynecologist. I visited the gynecologist on Thursday for my yearly exam. I see a male gynecologist, and while he's a little awkward, he's a very nice guy, a good doctor, and hasn't given me creep vibes. Before he came in, I took off everything except my socks and put on a little gown they gave me. I settled on the bed and then he entered. We made a little bit of small talk just so that we weren't in silence. I go through the "any concerns, anything you need to bring up since the last visit," etc. And then it's time for the old peek. I put my legs in the stirrups and he begins his exam. He must be feeling awkward from the silence because after a minute he says, "Oh, you must have a cat, huh?" I do have a couple of cats, but I hadn't mentioned that to him. My brain short circuits. How can he tell that I have cats just by looking at my lady parts? Does it smell like cats down there? So I say, "Why? Does my vagina smell?" He must have interpreted my question as, "Why does my vagina smell?" And he said, "I'm not smelling anything right now. Can you describe the smell?" My brain goes into overdrive. What the hell does he mean, can I describe it? He's the one down there. So I clarify, can I describe the cat vagina smell? He pauses and sits up straight and just says, what? So I say, do I smell like cats down there? How could you tell that I have cats? His face turns bright red, and he points to my foot in the stirrup, or more specifically, the cat socks that I'm wearing, which also happens to have a single white cat hair clinging to the sock. I said, oh, I thought my lady parts smelled like cats or something. He shook his head, and he very quickly finished up. So I don't smell like a cat, but I don't think I can go back to him. The top comment from Sailor Chibi. Rest assured, he's told literally everyone in the office about this. Yeah, OP, you're not the crazy cat lady, you're the smelly cat lady. The doctor's like, you must have cats. Today I effed up by putting BJ's for 2 hours on my calendar at work. So I recently got a promotion at work, and with it comes a shared administrative assistant. The admin, among other things, can help schedule, move, and cancel meetings for me. To do this, she has access to my calendar and can see all my meetings. My wife and I have a membership to a few wholesale clubs, including BJ's and Costco's. On Friday, my wife wants me to go with her to both so that we can get stuff for a party we're having this weekend. Well, me, being stupid, went into my calendar last night and blocked off 2 hours on my own calendar for Friday with a simple title of BJ's. Obviously, you can see where this is going. But my new admin pinged me today and we had the following conversation. Reminder, I can see your calendar now. Yep, I remember, but thanks for the reminder anyways. And that means I can also see all the meetings you add yourself. Yep, got it. So I can see the meeting you put on your calendar for Friday at lunch. Oh God. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. My wife and I are going to Costco and BJ's, and I blocked off 2 hours to run some errands. I promise. Lol, you can do whatever you want on your free time. Just thought I'd remind you. I don't think she believes me, and now will be super embarrassed every time I talk to her or see her. Yikes. Down in the comments, we have this story from Blazenar. For my older brother's 40th birthday, his now mother-in-law made him a card that said, I heart BJ's, in reference to the Toronto Blue Jays baseball team. The group of us effing died laughing at us, and she had no clue why. Her husband, who had apparently not seen the card prior to this, had to very politely explain why we were laughing, as the rest of us couldn't keep our cool together long enough to do so. This reminds me of an event from my childhood, which is one of those embarrassing memories that pop into your mind as you're trying to fall asleep. I was walking across a soccer field in high school with two upperclassmen. So I guess I probably would have been in maybe 9th or 10th grade and they were probably 11th or 12th. And I thought they were cool. They were definitely cooler than me, more confident, more popular. But I was cool enough, I guess, to hang out with them. And the two guys were talking about their sexual conquests. And I was thinking, oh, I better not seem like a naive virgin, even though I definitely was. And one of the guys said something, she gave me a BJ. And I said, BJ? What's a BJ? And he says, blowjob. And I'm like, aha, I see. They now know you're a stupid loser. Good job, Dabney. Today I effed up by sleeping with my former boss in front of her husband. My former boss contacted me a few days ago with an unusual request. She wanted to know if I was interested in sleeping with her while her husband watched us. I said that I was the wrong guy for the job, but she disagreed and said that I was the perfect guy based on a random one-night stand that we had years ago before she remarried. She said her new husband wanted to watch her bang another guy, and she was into it. I agreed to discuss the possibility in person, especially when she offered to pay for dinner. I forgot how attractive she was until I saw her face to face. She introduced me to her new husband, who wanted me to understand that all he wanted was to be an observer in the bedroom. He made it sound like the worst case scenario was that I would get laid, which I believe, so yeah, I said yes. Fast forward to the action. A couple of days had passed since I said yes. I was in missionary when I heard snoring and farting coming from the so-called observer. The husband passed out at some point, but obviously not quietly. which affected my concentration on the action because the snoring was distracting and the farting was disgusting. My ex-boss apologized on her husband's behalf before grabbing the box of tissues next to the bed and aggressively hurling it at her unconscious husband. Her aim was off. The tissue box missed the target, prompting my ex-boss to hysterically scream her husband's name over and over into my ears, while I was still laying pipe and trying to pretend that absolutely nothing weird was happening. The husband eventually woke up after my ex-boss managed to scream his name at the top of her lungs. Cue all-out war. My ex-boss called her husband rude for falling asleep. The husband said that he had a long day at work. My ex-boss scoffed and said that her husband had no clue what a long day at work looked like because what he did in one day was nothing compared to what she had to do every day as an independent businesswoman. The husband said that he had zero energy for another boss B-word speech. My ex-boss looked at me and said that her husband has zero energy on a permanent basis. I asked both of them if they wanted me to stop and give them privacy because I was awkwardly still going at it in silence while listening to them. My ex-boss said that I should ask her husband since the whole thing was his idea. The husband unexpectedly slapped my butt on his way towards the bedroom door and said that I should finish up and call it a night. I did not finish up, but I did call it a night when I realized that my desire to get away from my ex-boss and her husband outweighed my desire to finish. One night stand should have been enough, but I just had to come back before, which I now regret. Something tells me this marriage isn't going to last. What do you guys think? Today I effed up by asking a MILF for her number. So I was at the mall with my son, who's a toddler. Anyway, my son was playing really well with this little girl. Like, they were two peas in a pod playing together, just having a blast. I'm a big dude. A lot of people say that I look scary. Anyways, my son is playing. I'm eating my lunch, and...
Hello, Chopperino. That is a very funny face. Welcome in. We're just drawing and listening to r/stories.
I decide I need to figure out who this girl's parents are. I figure it out, and she's apparently a hot mom. So I walk up to her and go, "Hey, our kids are playing together. Maybe I can get your number and we can set up a play date." She looks at me and goes, married. I was thinking, that's nice. My son wants to play with your daughter, so I said, "Me too. My wife would love to meet you. Our kids are playing well together. Do you want to set up a play date?" At this point, her husband walks up and she goes, "This guy is asking for my number after I told him I'm married." At this point, I'm thinking, screw it, not worth it. I apologize and sit down and wait for my son to finish playing. Today I effed up by showing my wife to swipe right to see the popular feed. My wife is new to Reddit. Her profile is maybe 2 years old. I told her how it works, and she's enjoyed it so far. My wife is very wholesome and has been filling her feed with things she likes, like I told her to. She searched for subreddits she's interested in and joins them and enjoys her feed. Simple enough. I've been keeping her up to tabs on current events and everyday conversations. This happened in the world, so-and-so is in the news, that happened at that place, sort of thing. She's always just asked me where I'm getting my information from, and I just tell her Reddit. She always just sort of responded back with, "Huh, I must have missed that," or "I didn't see that at all."
The lady, so he was trying to get the number so that their kids could play together, but the lady just kept assuming, I guess, that he was trying to get her number to like play with her, but that wasn't the case. He just genuinely saw that his kid was playing well with her kid and was gonna try to, set up a play date kind of thing. But that lady just was not getting it. Some people are a little dense. Oh, the ex-boss one. Hold on. Ad break. You're good. All right. Adric should be over. The ex-boss one was her husband wanted to be a cut, basically. And since she had like laid with him before, she propositioned him, and like the husband fell asleep while they were going at it and farting while he was sleeping. So, imagine asking your wife to do something like that because you want it and then falling asleep. Like, bro, be so for real. I understand now why he wanted somebody else to do it. I don't think bro could even make it through it. Poor lady. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and restart this one as well, just so we can hear this one again from the start.
Finish playing. Today I effed up by showing my wife to swipe right to see the popular feed. My wife is new to Reddit. Her profile is maybe 2 years old. I told her how it works, and she's enjoyed it so far. My wife is very wholesome and has been filling her feed with things she likes, like I told her to. She searched for subreddits she's interested in and joins them and enjoys her feed. Simple enough. I've been keeping her up to tabs on current events and everyday conversations. This happened in the world, so-and-so is in the news, that happened at that place, sort of thing. She's always just asked me where I'm getting my information from, and I just tell her Reddit. She always just sort of responded back with, "Huh, I must have missed that." Or, "I didn't see that at all in my feed." My first really big clue was the Musk hand gesture, and I was honestly quite surprised when she said her usual default response. The second flag was when she said she never noticed the massive influx of subreddits requesting to ban all X/Twitter posts. Last night, I decided to forego our usual evening winding down and cuddling while watching unimportant YouTube videos in the background. I decided to put on music and talk about our day and just enjoy each other's company. I showed her something on Reddit that I thought was funny, and she laughed and said, "OMG, where'd you see that? Send it to me." And I told her it should be in her feed, just scroll down from the top posts. She said she did, and she couldn't find it. I then asked her to show me her feed, and it was all r/cats, r/dogs with jobs, r/corgis, r/sewing, r/baking, etc. I said, "Oh, you're in your custom feed. Just scroll right." The look on her face went blank, and she asked, "What do you mean, scroll right?" I said, "Swipe right and you'll get to the popular feed. Swipe right again and you'll get to the watch section where it's all videos." She just dropped her jaw and told me she never knew about that. I said, "Oh, that finally makes sense," and I showed her how to mute certain subreddits if she didn't want to see them. I went about our evening and thought nothing of it. Except I totally messed up. She came home from work tonight just totally numb. I asked her what was wrong, and she told me that she's just been in an unfiltered, popular doom scroll all day. She's only known highlights of what's going on in the world from what I've told her. Now she knows everything, and I'm afraid I broke her. I feel bad. Well, it's true. Reddit is awful, and everyone should get off it, including me, right now. That was r/Today I F'd Up, and if you like this content, check out my Patreon where I publish extra episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.
Damn, Brody. Okay, we got listen to a little bit more to finish off this piece, and then I'll be heading to bed, and we'll be back tomorrow after I get off work to work on some more. Tomorrow I'm going to work on some rigging. I'm going to start rigging a way overdue gift chibi. The art's done, so now it's on to the rigging. So we're gonna go ahead and start on that tomorrow. So for today, we'll listen to our last bit of r slash and wrap it up.
Welcome to r/Best of Redditor updates, where OP's wife comes home with a mystery hickey that she claims is a bug bite. The next Reddit post is from r/marriage. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and I'm in a fight with my 28-year-old wife. We've had fights before, but not this bad. I'm at a loss on how to proceed. For context, we're college sweethearts married for almost 6 years. We have a 4-year-old daughter. Our relationship was never perfect or without challenges. We've faced some family opposition with cultural differences, but we've made it work. She's my first love and my best friend. My wife works in corporate. Her job has annual work retreats that last for about a week. This year was in Vegas. I usually arrange my work schedule to tag along with her, and we make our own trip out of it. We couldn't this year. Our daughter gets major anxiety traveling long distances. We're working on it, but she wasn't budging, and we decided to choose our battles. So I stayed behind and held down the fort at home. This change of plans was a bummer because that trip was part of us reconnecting as both a couple and as a family. My wife's work hours have taken a toll, and her work-life balance leaves much to be desired. We entertained the idea of skipping the retreat. Attendance is optional, but it's generally frowned upon if you don't, and my wife's making connections in her field. She grew increasingly weird. We have a system if either of us is away for extended periods. We keep in contact. For the first day or so, she was herself, but she grew distant. I would even text her about important stuff and be left on read while she claimed she never saw my text. Whenever we talked, she was rushing me or our daughter off the phone. There were all these times she wasn't involved in retreat activities. We were supposed to have a mini birthday celebration for our daughter over FaceTime. Our daughter was excited. It was something my wife promised her because the retreat overlapped her actual birthday. But my wife backed out because she had people up to her room after a seminar. It was like she wanted my permission to break her promise to our daughter. I told her I wasn't offering that, nor making her keep her word. She said I wasn't being fair and this was a networking opportunity. They were business-oriented and wouldn't understand her stepping away for family time. I said her decision is her decision, but she'd have to explain it to our daughter. She promised that she would rain check the following day. Our daughter didn't understand and cried. My wife ended up hanging up and leaving me to comfort our daughter alone. The whole incident rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. She didn't keep her word for the rain check either. She was documenting the retreat on social media. One coworker, a 23-year-old guy, was in almost every picture or video attached to her hip. In one picture, he had his arm too comfortably around her, in my opinion. He's a recent hire in my wife's department. She was asked to oversee him. I do not like the guy. He doesn't know boundaries. Once, in response to a work assignment, he texted my wife that she's exactly the kind of woman he needs to keep him in check. My wife had brushed it off. She feels bad for him because he's not fitting in. She took him under her wing during his first retreat with the team. If I'd questioned, she'd say that she was tired or networking. There was always something. But I've seen her at these retreats. This wasn't like her. She was just off. The day before her return home, she complained about a bruise on her neck. She stressed that it was a bug bite. I didn't actually see the bruise until she came home. I instantly thought that it was a full-on hickey. She kind of brushed it off after making a big deal of it over the phone. I didn't push because our daughter was present. But when I was able to confront her, she clung to her bug bite claim. When I kept pushing, she asked what I was trying to imply. I outright said that I believed she had a hickey, and I didn't believe that she was being honest with me. We had it out then. She was offended and pissed at the accusation. Infidelity has always been a sore topic. Her family has a history of infidelity. So we had a pretty bad fight, and she accused me of looking to pick a fight due to the incident with our daughter's birthday. I told her it had nothing to do with that, and everything to do with the hickey on her neck. The fight ended in an impasse. We're still not recovered. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I've always trusted my wife. I never doubted her, but this bruise doesn't look like a bug bite. It looks like a hickey. I only feel more strongly when I consider how distant and weird she was during the Vegas retreat. Now she's wearing turtlenecks ever since, and we're caught between arguing and her dousing our daughter and me with affection. Communication usually prevails for us, but not now. I think my accusation pushed us to a new level of argument. I'm at a loss here. I really need outside perspectives. How do I move forward? Have you guys ever gotten a bug bite that looks like a hickey? Because I know I haven't. Then, about 1 week later, OP posted an update. Things are a roller coaster. I'm trying to process. It took a while for my wife and me to have any real conversation about the bruise on her neck. I rarely saw the bruise because she was turtlenecked up, but I did notice the healing process from reddish purple to yellow. There wasn't any more discussion about the Vegas retreat. She made it clear that she was done talking about it, and she shouldn't need to defend herself to her husband. I told her she could do whatever she wanted, but I was done being treated like an idiot, and I wasn't sharing a bed with someone I couldn't trust. So I moved to the guest room. Communication stopped. The silences were palpable. Even our daughter noticed. I'm not proud of that. I try keeping her out of fights. My wife came to the guest room one night and asked if we could talk. I could tell that she'd been crying. She said she hated the way things were between us. She felt like she was losing me either way. I told her I needed complete honesty. She confessed that she hooked up with that coworker on, oh my God, on our daughter's birthday. The hickey was from him. Yo, that's actually crazy. She was lost in the heat of the moment and didn't realize he was sucking so hard on her neck. By her account, they made out while doing some over-the-clothes stuff, and then he gave her oral. It stopped there because he called her by a nickname that I affectionately call her. It snapped her back to the reality of her actions. She went to splash water on her face and saw the hickey. The guy made light of it and made a joke about the hickey being her souvenir. She blew up on him and kicked him out of her suite. Part of the reason she was avoiding me was out of guilt. She said she's coming clean because she doesn't want to hide things anymore. I asked her why she cheated. What was it about this guy that she deemed worth risking everything? She claimed it wasn't him specifically, nor is she unhappy with our marriage. She doesn't really know how to explain it, but a part of her feels broken. The more she looks in the mirror, the more she sees her dad. A cycle of being consumed with work, becoming distant from her child, and the infidelity that he put her mom through. She said her family never talked about anything openly, and how when she was growing up, my mother-in-law never addressed anything with her. I said that her parents didn't make her cheat. She chose to party up with a guy who constantly disrespected our relationship. Those were all her decisions, and she at any point could have chosen our family. She agreed. She wants to blame her parents, but realizes this is on her. She apologized for cheating and for entertaining the guy's advances. She said that she'll do whatever it takes to repair. Go to HR, quit her job, counseling, anything. She wants to make everything right. I told her I don't know what right looks like, or if that's possible for us anymore. I knew we had our problems, but I thought there wasn't anything that we couldn't talk out. She insisted we could still talk it out. We didn't have to give up on us. She tried giving this rally cry for our relationship, but I felt very numb. I said I didn't recognize her. Not just the betrayal of our vows, but also how she treated our daughter. She's like a stranger. She feels she's failed as a wife and a mom, but she loves us both beyond words and wants our life together and our family intact. I told her I couldn't give her the answer she wanted and thought we needed to separate and reevaluate. She didn't want separation. She felt that we should stay together in our home, but I told her a separation was happening. Either she was leaving the home or I was with our daughter. She consented to leaving so as to best not uproot our daughter too much. She asked for our daughter not to be taken away from her. My wife is staying with my in-laws. I know that's difficult in itself because she doesn't have the best relationship with her parents. One of the hardest parts is the shift for our daughter. Right now, she believes her mom's just busy with her work per usual. She hadn't questioned it too much. My mother-in-law called the other day. She made no excuses for my wife, but she's advocating for us to work through it. She told me times when she heard my wife describe me as the anchor she always wanted. She believes there's something worth fighting for, if I'm open. Despite some family opposition we faced throughout our relationship, my mother-in-law was always a supporter of us. I'm even more at a loss. I never imagined this kind of betrayal from my wife. She was my safe place. I feel numb, yet broken. I'm in love with her. That hasn't changed. But I don't see myself, her, our relationship, or our family the same. Everything's more tense because it's fresh. I think this period of separation is for the best. I'm not sure about divorce. I haven't let myself fully go there. I'm not set either way. I don't know where things go from here, but I'm focusing on our daughter and taking things one step at a time. I feel that's all I can do right now. What's so bad about this is we know this woman is a liar. She came in and tried to fight with OP over, no, it's just a bug bite. How dare you accuse me of cheating on you? So she lied to his face viciously. And we're supposed to believe that they just did some over-the-clothes light groping. No big deal. Just a little peck on the neck. I mean, you could hardly even notice it. And just a little bit of oral. Just a tiny bit, and it ended immediately. Nah, man, they went to Pound Town all night. Then she tries to blame OP for the accusations, and then blame her parents for this culture of cheating that I grew up in. Yeah, right. Like, any of these things are individually enough to break up a marriage, but to me, sleeping with another dude on your daughter's birthday while she's crying? Why won't mommy be with me on my birthday?
That's crazy. Hi, Yazan.
You know, I guess ultimately it doesn't really matter what happened in that hotel room because she's already just fundamentally betrayed her family in the worst way possible. So whether they just did oral or went at it 1,000 times that one day, you know, I guess it's all the same thing at the end. You know what? Actually, I just realized something. When I was reading the first part of the story, I thought it was odd that the wife called OP on the daughter's birthday and didn't do FaceTime to have their mini celebration. I was thinking to myself, why call and turn down the FaceTime? Why not just do the FaceTime because it'll take up the same amount of time? And now I realize the reason why she didn't want to do FaceTime is because she knew that if she saw her daughter's face, she would no longer have the willpower to, you know, do the nasty with this coworker. So she protected herself. She protected her infidelity. She guarded her cheating heart against the one thing that could kill it, which was, you know, her daughter, so that she could preserve that flame of lust and screw the dude. Oh my God, that makes it so much worse. My next Reddit post comes from...
All right. We're going to end it there. Like I was saying earlier, we will pick up tomorrow. I'm basically going to binge stream all week, a bunch of art. We're going to get my queue through, hopefully, especially because I'm going to have to start taking on more and more commissions to try and make ends meet until I can get a better job. So I'm going to do my best to keep up on top of these, and I hope you guys will join me for it. Tomorrow we're going to work on rigging Echo's model. We're going to start rigging this cutie. I don't know how much we'll get started on rigging because I still have to start making all of the deformers and organizing everything and making a lot of stuff so that we can even start on the rigging, but we're going to get this started tomorrow. So yeah. From here though, let's go. We're gonna go give Oyasumi Uni a raid. She is currently making art as well and partner pushing. So we're gonna go there thank you guys for hanging out with me for the night. And I can't wait to see you all tomorrow. Have a good rest of y'all's night. Goodbye.